and even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff, even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm going to keep ticking. But no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There's only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more.
Get a rise!
No!
They saw your team. Put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days, they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen?
Play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouths.
Yay!
Man. Can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
You're not even a has-been. You're a never was. You're a never was.
September 6th, ladies and gentlemen. That's a little loud. You are listening to the Sports Loudmouths. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, throughout the week, you can listen to all the live shows on our network. And how do you do that? You go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com with me and Speedy Petey, the Sports Loudmouths, which now is airing every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Speedy, what's up, man?
I want to give a shout out to our friend Riley Leonard, who had the upset of the year so far in week one of college football. Duke not only dominating Clemson, but blowing them out on Monday. Shout out to Riley. He had a funny statement afterward with his professor, too. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
He wanted his asking for an extension on his homework. And we're like, no, I didn't give any of the offensive linemen one. You're not getting any either.
I never got a chance to watch the game, but there was a lot of upsets this past weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Colorado, obviously upsetting TCU that went to the national championship game against Georgia last year. And then my Florida State Seminoles, knocking off LSU, which Brian Kelly talking crap all over social media, just got tortured throughout the weekend. So Brian Kelly is not a happy camper. I'm sure his practices are going to be very interesting throughout the week. And then obviously you were just saying it, Riley Leonard, our boy, knocks off the Clemson Tigers. Yes, another big mouth over there. Another big mouth coach that's probably crying to the river, but very excited. College football is here. The NFL is right around the corner, and we have a very special guest in the studio. You know him as Mike from Bay Show. We know him as the Beeve. What's up, man?
What's going on, bro?
Well, we're happy. Finally, you're back in the studio. It took forever to get you back here.
It's been busy, man.
Yeah, well,
a lot of things going on.
Yeah, don't we all? I mean, I'm at the mechanic every single day trying to get my car fixed. I don't have good luck. Nobody's as lucky as you.
No, not me.
Yeah, you got a beautiful. You have a beautiful truck.
Well, it's brand new.
Well, you did pay it off, right?
I did. Yeah, it's paid off.
Yeah, see, look at you. You're a lucky camper. You're a lucky guy.
Well,
I mean, I'm not that lucky. And then you have good parents.
Your car's going with 200,000 miles on it.
Well, 300.
Oh.
It's an old car. It's not old.
Well, you take care of it.
Yes, it's 2013. It's not that old of a car.
No, but
I beat it up. I travel all over the country, and things like that happen. I've been to Canada. I've done so many different parties around the country, and I drive there. I don't mind driving, even though I think now with all the roads and all these people driving, and it's just so cluttered here in New York, I just can't stand it. No. But we're not here to talk about my life, my car, and just everything that's going on in the world. No, we're here to give you some information and go all around making people laugh when it comes to sports and media. And Speedy, you know all about that as we do this every single week. We have a lot of hot topics. No, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on this show for about 3 years, we don't have one guest except the Beef.
I got me.
And we have Let's Parlay, which will have Derek back on the show. We're very excited to have Derek back on the show. And what do we have, John?
Wes.
Wes. Oh, wow. A star-studding, Wes, who's joining us, the worldwide Wes, who has really a lot to get into with some of his picks over the last couple of weeks that have not been much good. So
don't worry, he's got his Kansas City Chiefs tomorrow.
Yes, and we will get into that as well a little bit later in the show. Yes, a lot of hot topics to get into. Nick Bosa signs a 5-year, $170 million contract with the 49ers, which makes him the highest paid defensive player in history. So we're not surprised about that. And I expected this to happen. So we will get into that. Caleb Williams could go back to school if the team with the number 1 pick is a bad situation, as his father came out and said some interesting things to different writers, stating that his son, as you see what happens as a young athlete, your parents step in and they are authorized to do what they want to do to protect their kid. And now you're hearing Caleb's father come out and speak up. And I understand the whole situation. And Caleb is a guy that is very well respected around the college game. And look at all the endorsements he has already. How many commercials is this guy on already? He won a Heisman last year, and all of a sudden he's on Wendy's. He's on these car commercials. I think he's doing a commercial right now with Tom Brady for Hertz. I mean, it's ridiculous. So this guy's making millions and millions of dollars before he even step on a football field in the NFL. Travis Kelce hyperextends his knee and he was in practice today, but that doesn't mean that he will play week 1 on Thursday. I think he will sit out, but knowing Travis Kelce and the toughness of who he is as a player,
yeah, but why would you want to risk that in week 1 for?
What?
Why would you want to risk that week 1?
Well, Travis Kelce, and maybe they're just trying to make the injury worse than it really is. We've seen this before, and Andy Reid is known for this. If you don't remember Terrell Owens in the Super Bowl, supposedly broken leg, and all of a sudden 2 weeks later, he's running on a field and he has over 100 yards and a touchdown in the game. So you never know with coaches. Chris Jones said he could play in tomorrow's game despite the holdout, which usually means he's going to play, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot see Chris Jones sit out for a season where he has a chance to win another Super Bowl. Now, I don't know if Kansas City is as good as everybody thinks they're going to be. There's a lot of different pieces that they lost in the offseason. We will get into that. But there's a lot with Patrick Mahomes and the lack of weapons that he has lost in the offseason. So everybody knows this. Patrick Mahomes is now going to go through it. Aaron Rodgers went through it his whole career with the Green Bay Packers. Mike Evans tells the Bucs they have until Saturday to give him a new deal. There was a few stories that came out that I was reading that the Giants, a team that I have been saying could be very much interested in the sweepstakes for Mike Evans. There was stories that the Giants reached out to the Buccaneers and the Buccaneers were talking to him. So it wasn't just the Giants. There are quite a few other teams. That the Jets are another team that has been said to be interested in Mike Evans, but
they don't need him.
They don't need him, but hey, they have the money, and if they could bring a talent like that to play on the other side of a guy like Garrett Wilson, that opens up the field immensely, not only for the running backs, but also all the different defined slot wide receivers they have. So a lot of interesting stories to get into the NFL season. Chandler Jones says he will not play for Josh McDaniels and GM Dave Ziegler. That is nothing to complain about. Why would anybody want to play for Josh McDaniels? Honestly, the guy has been an absolute joke as a head coach. Go look at his record as a head coach in the NFL in the 3 years that he was a head coach. Actually, 2.5 years that he's been a head coach. It's just absolutely horrendous. And I seen this over and over again. Denver went out of the way to sign him and bring him to the organization. They draft Tim Tebow. Now over here with the Raiders, they bring Jimmy G in. How much of the debacle that's going to take in the first couple of weeks, where everybody's going to realize that Devontae Adams wants out of that organization. Let's parlay with Derek and Wes at 9:00. And obviously we're going to do our NFL previews and award picks with the Beef.
Yes, sir.
So, as everybody knows, I will be doing an NFL draft. Yes, while we're doing this show. And I know a lot of people out there probably think I'm out of my mind doing this. Actually accepting this opportunity to play and actually be on a 14-team fantasy game, a fantasy pick night during the show. But hey, you know what? I am a little crazy, but that's just a whole nother story.
A little?
Yeah, 19 minutes till my draft starts, by the way. And I'm drafting at 5 with 14 teams, guys. So it's not going to be an easy draft, and I'm going to have to really reach in this draft if I plan to win. Mikey C actually is picking 14, so he's in a perfect spot, by the way. Adam Schefter reports that Nick Bosa got a new 5-year, $170 million deal. Bosa will get $34 per year, which surpasses Aaron Donald's contract and makes him the highest paid player in NFL history. Bosa deal is $122.5 million guaranteed, and according to many reports, was the big reason the deal took this long to sign. Bosa also becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Bosa had 18.5 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, and 48 quarterback hits last season, and won the Defensive Player of the Year. Bosa has 43 sacks, 106 quarterback hits, and 56 tackles for loss in 51 career games. Honestly, Nick Bosa is the best defensive player in the NFL. You're not going to sit here and really sugarcoat this. Everybody expected Nick to go out there and extend his hand to the 49ers. And if they weren't going to extend back, he was going to ask to be traded in the offseason. Not this offseason, but next offseason. And I know every Jet fan out there had pictures of him in a Jets jersey. He wasn't going to the Jets, okay? First of all, the Jets don't have the money to pay him. Even with the money that Aaron Rodgers has dropped, the $35.5 million that he has dropped to help the Jets out over the next 2 years.
Did that.
A lot of people were. And everybody says that Aaron Rodgers is a bad guy.
He didn't do that with the Packers.
Well, that has a lot to do with the president and the GM of that organization, who he has come out and said are complete idiots. He came out and said it. And actually, when he was traded, just so everybody knows on how respected Aaron Rodgers is as a player and as a teammate, he reached out to Jordan Love and congratulated him. Did he have to reach out to Jordan Love to congratulate him on taking the job away from him? No, because he's going to the Jets and he's in a better situation. And he knows that he has a lot of work to do to get that team back to where they believe they were last season with the talented defense they had and no offensive players, which, by the way, they didn't add enough in the offseason. But we're not talking about Aaron Rodgers. We're talking about Nick Bosa. When you look at Nick Bosa and you compare some of the great defensive players in the league, I'm going to say it again, the Chris Jones of the world, the Micah Parsons of the world, the guys that stand out, TJ Watt, these defensive linemen that have dominated over the last couple of seasons, that have stood out, Quinn Williams, Aaron Donald. You cannot replace a player like Nick Bosa. He's too good. He's too talented. He is the anchor to that defense. And if he didn't start this year, and I saw Hargrave, he was all over social media saying that Nick Bosa will start. He will be a part of this team and this organization for week 1. And obviously he knew something. The team knew something, that this deal was closing in. But the fact that Nick Bosa didn't have any OTAs really, mini camp, preseason, this could affect Nick Bosa this season in the beginning. He has to get his legs under him. He barely practiced with the team at minicamp because he was sitting out waiting for this contract to be situated. And I understand players. They're all about themselves. They're all about the money that they should make. As well as the running backs over the last couple of weeks have been thrown to the wolves. And they have stood out and really tried to speak out for all their teammates and all the running backs throughout the league because they believe they should get paid just as much as a quarterback, as a cornerback, as an offensive lineman, because they're as important to the offense as any player on the field. To lose a defensive player like Nick Bosa, it's like the Jets losing Aaron Rodgers. It really is. Nick Bosa is everything to the 49ers. The pressure, everything he puts on the opposing quarterback. Throwing it and really abusing those offensive linemen. And I have seen Nick Bosa torch top offensive lines in football. Torch them. Go right through them by himself.
Well, with him not practicing, it could affect him getting hurt too.
It could. Yeah. And that has a lot to do with his workout plan and his dieting, which he has come out and said that he's been doing a lot of this offseason because of the fact.
But when you have muscles like that, it's you got to train them again.
No, that's
when you're sitting out for that long.
You just got to stick yourself in the ass. That's all you got to do. I mean,
here we go.
I'm just speaking the truth. Nobody is naturally that big, by the way.
No,
nobody's naturally that big. And I love Nick Bosa. I think he's a sensational player. And I'm not spreading rumors that nobody's seen or know. Okay. Pretty much, if you know anything about football is not as intense as the MLB is when it comes to steroid abuse or human growth hormones or some of these strategic creatine pills that they're taking.
Or any random drug that's discovered in the Dominican Republic, aka Robinson Cano.
Yeah. I mean, these guys could be taking that and they're not as strict, the NFL is the MLB is, because of everything that's happened over the, in the 90s and over the last couple of years. But this deal is a sensational deal. Congratulations to Nick Bosa. Well deserved. And this is a guy that is going to go out there and give you everything every single week, hurt or not hurt. He'll go out there and play. And that says a lot about him as a player. That says a lot about a captain that he is on the field. And remember, you're going into the season with Brock Purdy.
Well, that's another issue.
You're going into the season with Brock Purdy. You need all the defense that you can get. That defense has got
they got McCaffrey there too, so they'll take a lot of pressure off Purdy.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Christian McCaffrey is injury prone.
He is.
So are you going to trust that Christian McCaffrey for the first time in how many years is going to be fully healthy
I'm
for
not
17
saying I wouldn't
games?
trust him, but I'm saying when the guy is on his game and he's healthy, he's untouchable.
No, he's good. There's no question that he's good. And that's why he's rated so high in the draft. And by the way, our draft is just about to start. 12 minutes left. And I can't get
Christian
in.
McCaffrey falls to 5. That would be amazing.
They're still not letting me in on this thing. I'm still not allowed in.
Refresh the page.
Like you said, I don't trust Brock Purdy whatsoever either. I mean, you haven't seen enough of the guy.
Well, yeah, he's a very small sample right now as it is. And for a guy that was a last pick of the draft, too, coming off a UCL injury, it's going to be very tough to trust. You're going to have to see a lot of heavy motion yards after the catch offense to start this season until Purdy really, really gets reacclimated back into that, too. I'm surprised he's starting that much as it is. Like, I was expecting him to be out at least a month, maybe a little more. And recovering from a UCL injury, you don't know how it's going to affect his throwing motion, too. But I guess in his offense, they trust him because Deebo Samuel's so good after the catch and McCaffrey is, too.
Yes.
and maybe that's what they're banking on. They're going to kind of transition, ease him in type thing, and they trust him to do that more, I guess, than somebody like a Sam Darnold who's had short accuracy issues his whole career so far.
I'm reading what all these guys are writing right now, talking crap. You know what
The fantasy chat is alive.
You know what's so funny about this? And I'm going to say it for everybody that's on fantasy or playing fantasy in their leagues, their friends' leagues, anything. Nobody knows me in this league except Mike and his two friends. Everybody else has no idea who I am. They all know that I'm a radio show host. They all wanted to come and do the draft on the radio show today. I said, there's no way I am talking about a draft for 3 hours. I'm not doing it.
You're not going to make fun of one of Mikey C's picks?
Well, that's a different story.
That's a different story. And by the way, his team name is Robert Crafty's Day. Okay,
of course.
And mine is Rogers Ballsacks. So
the self-proclaimed Patriots fan has to have a Patriots name, I say.
Hey, listen, a lot of these guys are good. A lot of these guys know how to draft. They've been in multiple leagues, and they're all talking crap to me, saying that I'm going to torch them or they're going to torch me. So I'm not going to sit here and talk crap. I hope my team will do the talking. I'm not very excited about where I'm drafting. I'm drafting at 5, but that's a whole nother story. And I don't think anybody would be happy knowing that your partner, a guy that you've done radio with for many, many years, is picking 14 in a perfect spot. So I am not happy about that, just so you know.
Ben actually reports another sad story on Mike Williams on life support after a construction accident.
He passed away, by the way.
No, they said he was actually pronounced dead, but now there's a new report that says he's actually not dead. He's just on life support right now, but a construction accident. Very scary for somebody so young, too.
Yes, and I remember Mike Williams when he was drafted.
Very high.
Very high draft pick, and he didn't have the career, or hasn't or won't have the career that Mike Williams on the Chargers is going to have, and what he has become as a player and as a really an amazing weapon. But I will say this is a sad story. If you're a football fan, if you're a Mike Williams, a Buccaneers fan, or any kind of fan to any kind of player that is on life support, it is a sad. But by the way, he was announced dead, and now he's still alive on life support. So there is some kind of hope. Not a lot, but some kind of hope.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Times just reported about an hour ago he is actually not dead. He is on life support, and his the mother and his daughter are right now with him in wherever they are. He got struck while he was sleeping too after the construction accident. I guess it was right near his house. He's 36 years old.
Wow, it fell on his house?
Whatever hit him. It didn't. This article doesn't say what hit him.
He wasn't working in construction, was he?
No, it doesn't seem like it. It looked like this report.
He made like $30 to $40 million as an NFL player. I doubt he's doing construction.
Yeah, it just says construction accident, and right now he's in the hospital. No, this report. Yeah, here's the quote. He was asleep when we went in there. We woke up. He heard our voices and his daughter's voice, and he looked around and he blinked and he was crying, but he could not move.
Terrible.
Caleb Williams' father, Carl, said that Caleb could be hinting at returning to school if the team with the number 1 pick is in a unfavorable situation, which means quite a few teams, Arizona being one of them. Why would he go to Arizona when we've seen Kyler Murray get drafted a couple of years ago, who looks like might not have the opportunities anymore with Arizona by the end of this season with a new coach. And we've seen other players like Josh Rosen, who was drafted in the top 8 a couple of years ago and was pretty much thrown to the wolves after his 1 year with the Arizona Cardinals. So it wouldn't make any sense for Caleb, as far as what his father is saying, if he decides, hey, you know what, I'll just play 1 more year of college ball because I'll still be the number 1 pick next year. And I could just sit back and relax and go to a better situation. He also added that speaking with Archie Manning was a big influence on this statement. Williams won the Heisman Trophy last season with 4,537 passing yards, 45 touchdowns, and a completion percentage at 66.6%. Lincoln Riley has developed 2 players who were number 1 overall picks with Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. If Williams does stay in school for 1 more year, he will play for USC in what will be their first year in the Big Ten. So I do not believe Caleb Williams is going to sit out another year and play college football when he can make millions and millions of dollars. I cannot see it. I really cannot. Now, I understand you don't want to play for Arizona. I understand he doesn't want to play for a really bad situation when it comes to organizations in the NFL. No bad situation is bad when you're making $40 million or you're getting a signing bonus of 20. Okay? I understand he's making millions and millions of dollars right now. I don't know exactly what he's making with these endorsements that he has. And he really doesn't need the money because he's making money on these endorsements. What is he paying college? Okay, seriously. Dorming? It's paid for. Food? Paid for. Drinks? Paid for. Partying? You ask the women. I don't know.
Lincoln Riley's probably paying him something under the table, too.
Yeah, well, doing other things under the table as well. But that's a whole nother story I'm not going to speak on the national radio show. But nevertheless, when you look at, obviously, Caleb and what he is capable of being as a college quarterback and an NFL quarterback, everybody's going to be speaking about this now for the next couple of months. Because to me, everybody's looking towards next year. All the bad teams in the NFL that everybody is predicting to be bad, they're all thinking, I can get Caleb Williams. I can get arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the last 10 seasons or 10 years of college football. And I believe he is as talented, as good as any quarterback we've seen, honestly.
And Snug says, if he gets the NIL hookup, why not wait a year? There's two reasons for that, Snug. One is injury, the obvious one. But also, two, he's going to go into the Big Ten, which has a lot of tougher defenses, too, where that could hurt his stock if he struggles in the Big Ten. Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, these teams all have good defenses in the Big Ten East. You've got Wisconsin, who has a tough defense in the Big Ten West. And you've got teams like Michigan State and Maryland that are still rising, too. Like, that's a tougher overall competition, especially defensively, that they're going to have to face rather than going from the Pac-12, who they have a lot of teams that are on the fringe because they're all realigning as it is. So I know they had a good week this week, but still, that's not ideal for that kind of thing to be able to trust right now if you're Caleb Williams.
And you can't sit here today and say, hey, you know what? Caleb's going to make this decision now. I don't think he's going to make the decision until the end of the season and see where some of these teams fall in the NFL. And there could be teams that fall completely out that are pretty good teams. We've seen this before. They lose one or two players and they're not as good. The New England Patriots, and I will say this about the Patriots, it's a hit or miss this year. Now, they have a good defense, but a lot of questions have to do with their offense and O'Brien coming back. And could this offense be different now with O'Brien there and Mac Jones under a guy like O'Brien that can help him develop as a quarterback? It might not. And if it falls flat, if Bill Belichick falls flat on his face, they could turn out to be, being that they're in one of the hardest divisions in football, one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they could get the number one pick for the first time. I don't remember the last time they had the number one pick. So maybe the 80s. So again, when you look at certain teams, Caleb could say, you know what? I could be a Patriot. I could play for Bill Belichick. I could either play for Bill Belichick. I could play for Josh McDaniels.
Oh, God.
Or I could play for the Arizona Cardinals. Or I could decide, hey, you know what? I don't want to play for any of those crappy teams. I'm going to go back and play college ball. I'm still going to make my money. I don't see it. So all you fans out there that think that Caleb Williams is going to not enter the NFL draft next year where he can make close to $40 or $50 million as the number one pick of the draft, it's insane. He's not doing it. He's not. He doesn't come from a very rich family either.
A lot of these guys don't.
So if he's capable of making $50 million, why would he put himself at risk the year after where he could tear his ACL and fall out of that number one pick and not get the money that he really, really wants or really deserves? We've seen it. As one guy was drafted in the second round this past year, Speedy
Will Levis,
who everybody thought if he didn't tear his ACL and tear his knee the way he did early in the season, could have been a top 5 pick.
Snug says, I don't think Caleb Williams is a Bill Belichick kind of guy. You can't afford to be that picky when it's Caleb Williams, who's a very good prospect. And
it doesn't matter.
The Patriots have Mac Jones, who's a very basic quarterback. I don't think that's going to matter for Bill Belichick.
If the Patriots are drafting at 1, I guarantee you Caleb Williams goes number 1 if he enters the draft. There's no doubt in my mind. What were you saying, Beef?
No, I was agreeing with you.
There's no way he's going to walk away with arguably one of the most talented quarterbacks to come out of the draft in about 10 seasons. And everybody says it. I know everybody says, oh, it's USC. Go look at the USC. Go look at guys that our friend, yes, and I'm going to say this because everybody knows Lincoln Riley is another quarterback whisperer in the NCAA. It's not just Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, he's coached. Who else did he coach? There's a guy. There's a guy in Philadelphia that everybody doubted and thought wasn't going to be any good. And he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year. And that's Jalen Hurts. Okay? He has, if you look at the NFL style of quarterbacks that he has developed over the last couple of years, he's the best. And Caleb Williams is the best out of all of them. He is the best out of all of them. And I don't care what Archie Manning says, okay? Old man Arch, who practically pushed Eli Manning to the New York Giants, okay? He was drafted by the Chargers. Phillip Rivers was drafted by the Giants. They flip-flopped because Eli and obviously Archie Manning didn't want him to play with, at the point of no return, San Diego. Okay? And I say the point of no return because they don't exist anymore.
Now they're Chargers fans, so don't worry about that. But
I've had it. I'm serious. Archie Manning should mind his own business. When his grandson decides he wants to enter the NFL draft, then he can speak again. Why is he opening his big fat mouth? His sons are not in the NFL anymore. Now his grandson's going to the NFL.
Well,
Yippee!
that's why he's talking again.
Oh my God.
Right now he's not starting, so he's not going to have leverage this year to judge that.
No, he's not going to.
Quinn Ewers is starting for Texas this year anyway, so he's not going to have any say in that until he starts for 2 years.
30 seconds, boys. 30 seconds. Here we go.
No, Snug. If Bailey Zappi was really that good of a quarterback, why was he waived, Snug? Answer that question. Why was Bailey Zappi waived?
It was Zappi, then it was Jones, Zappi, then Jones.
Then there was a breakout with Malik Cunningham, who was a Louisville 5-year starting quarterback at Louisville, who played pretty well. He was Lamar Jackson's replacement there. And again, they drafted him. He was a preseason sensation. Everyone thought he was going to win the backup quarterback job, and he didn't even do that. And now they're both on waivers. I think they're both on the practice squad, and I think they had to bring back Brian Hoyer because of that.
Yeah, Matt Jones ain't going to last.
But again, there's no reason for the Patriots not to be able to evolve away from Mac Jones either when he's been nothing more than a basic quarterback in the NFL, and he doesn't have any upside. Like, Caleb Williams has the most upside we've seen in a quarterback prospect for the last 3 years. So I don't know why you would say, oh, he's not a Bill Belichick guy. Bill Belichick cannot afford to be this picky in the last couple of years of his coaching career.
Travis Kelce, Andy Reid said that Travis Kelce hyperextended his knee during Tuesday's practice. The Chiefs medical staff say his ACL is intact and there is no structural damage. Ian Rappaport reports that initial diagnosis was a bone bruise and doesn't see it to being a long-term injury where he'd be out on IR. Jason Kelce mentioned he believes that his brother will play within the next couple of weeks. His status for tomorrow's game is unlikely, as everybody knows. So
I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't play him. There's no reason to. It's week 1. Do not play him.
I don't know. I mean, you
have a chance to win another Super Bowl. Keep the guy healthy.
Here's the thing.
I'm not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl and win, but you have a chance.
I don't think they're going to.
They have a chance.
They have a chance, but
they
they're
have
not
a chance. No, I didn't say they were or whatever, but you got to keep the guy healthy.
You have to look at the big picture. You have to look at the situation for what they are. Okay. And by the way, everybody keeps telling me to draft Bijan Robinson, who
that was John Daigle's boy, and him and Tony Pollard.
Should I draft him over Nick Chubb?
Pollard?
No, not Pollard.
No, BJ Robinson.
Bijan is right on the fringe. John Daigle likes him more. We'll see.
He likes him more than Nick Chubb.
I think he did. He did say that last week.
And we all know what they like to do over there in Atlanta. They like to run the ball. So, and here I am. Who do I go with? Austin Eckler is still available.
Take Eckler, I would do.
Over Nick Chubb?
Yeah, I would definitely. John Daigle said it. He's like the safest pick. Him and McCaffrey are the safest pick. So, the fact that Eckler fell to 5 is a miracle in itself.
I took Eckler in my
I took Eckler.
There that's the smart play, definitely. And the fact that who was taking the first 4? I was curious who.
I don't know. They're a bunch of idiots.
I see that.
Travis Kelce has only missed 3 games in every season from 2014 and all the way to 2022. Kelce is 33 years old and entering his 11th NFL season. Everybody knows he's the best tight end in football.
He's a big part of that offense.
He is the offense.
I know.
He's everything the offense this year. Who do they have? Who do they trust? If you put, and we're going to get into it. If you look at that roster, do you trust anybody on that roster? Honestly, besides Patrick Mahomes, where everybody's going to be gunning for him, trying to take his head off.
Oh, you don't trust the great Kadarius Toney?
No, I don't. I think it's a joke.
Oh, don't worry. They also have a new ex-Giants, Richie James, who was Mr. Fumbleitis last year.
That's right. I just think that when you look at Travis Kelce and look at his ability and what he's capable of doing on the football field, you know that they have to be very careful with him, because if you lose him for a significant amount of time, that could put you in a very big situation where, honestly, when you look at where they are going into the season, there's nothing out there on their offense that scares you.
No, they don't have any receivers.
There's nothing
besides Kelce. They need a tight end. That's it.
I mean, losing Juju Smith-Schuster to the Patriots, that hurt him, even though they're saying that his knee isn't 100%, that his knee could go out at any time this year. That's what we've heard by many different sources over there in New England. So he's really on a limb. And then Hardman went to the New York Jets, and he gives the Jets another slot wide receiver that you can really spread out that offense for Aaron Rodgers. So Hardman wanted to go to a team where he thought has a better chance of winning a championship this year. Now, that doesn't say that the Chiefs aren't going to be as favored as any team in the NFL, because they are the Super Bowl champions, and they do have the best quarterback in the NFL in everybody's view. But in all, I think when you look at the big picture and look at this Travis Kelce story, this is not a good story. And if anybody's a Travis Kelce fan, you cannot sit here and say, hey, you know what? Travis Kelce will play on He'll play on Thursday, and he'll play at the top of his game. Even if he plays on Thursday, he's only going to be out there maybe 5 or 10% of the time.
Yeah, you wonder if they could even try using him as a decoy.
That's it. That's what they're going to use him.
Yeah, in the beginning, because I don't even think, like B was saying, I don't even need to think that they have to really make elaborate routes with him either, because the Lions secondary is a big question mark for them this season. I know they signed Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but they traded Jeff Okudah, the number 1 pick corner from 3 years ago. They lost Omani Oruwariye, which turned out to be right. He started a bad injury, and the Giants didn't even keep him either. So their corner room is very thin with a lot of rookies too. So maybe the Chiefs could just say, all right, let's just trust the scheme for this week. Andy Reid is a genius. We'll get somebody involved in this, whether it's Sky Moore, whether it's Tony, somebody like that. There's always a mysterious wide receiver. And we saw that in the playoffs too, when the Chiefs had all these receivers hurt, all these random guys that broke out for them in the AFC Championship game and in the Super Bowl. They scored 38 points on those Eagles corners that were very good all year.
I think when you look at everything with the Kansas City Chiefs this year, even their defense, we don't know what's going to go on with Chris Jones. And we will get into that in just a few moments. Chris Jones, he says he might play. He might not play. I mean, there's a lot to look at this team and say, oh, they're going to be Super Bowl champions this year. Chris Jones said he still could play tomorrow's season opener against the Lions despite the holdout. Jones said on Wednesday that he just simply wants to raise and doesn't want to be a distraction to his teammates.
Well,
Jones
he is right now.
Well, he is. I mean, obviously he is. But also, Jones said, Jones also said, I always wanted to be a Kansas City Chief for life. Jones is on the final year of a 4-year, $80 million deal that he signed in 2020. Jones is 29 years old, which is still fairly young, and had 15.5 sacks, 29 quarterback hits, 17 tackles for loss, and 44 total tackles last season. So, I mean, if you're a Chiefs fan, okay, and there's a lot of Chiefs fans out there, self-proclaimed Chief fans,
bandwagon fans.
and one that was a Bears fan and transitioned to a Chiefs fan when he moved to Kansas City.
That's true.
We'll see him in an hour and a half.
That's right, Wes. We all know about you, okay, buddy. But nevertheless, if you sit back and you wonder where some of these teams are and what some of these teams are going to be this year, you question, obviously, the talent and the wherewithal to where they were last year and dominant where they were in their division, with the Chargers now better this year and have a healthy offensive line. Even the Denver Broncos are going to be really, really good too, with a new coach in Sean Payton, who likes to talk as well. And also a quarterback that wants to prove himself, which he did not do last year after getting a $200 million contract. So I sit here today and I wonder, are the Chiefs the best team in the AFC? Or how about this? Are the Chiefs the best team in their division? That's the question. And that's something that we all have to, argue about when it comes to when we have our season review and where we're going to go into tonight and where we think some of these teams are going to be this year. Who do I go with? Travis Etienne, Joe Mixon. Now I have a chance to draft a wide receiver. Should I draft a wide receiver or do I draft a running back?
Well, wide receivers are there. That's the
You
big
always
question,
said
because
that
I
you should
know
get two
Daigle
running
did have
backs.
some good targets. He mentioned Amon-Ra St. Brown.
So should I go after a running back?
ETN would be the running back if you want to go after it, but if there's any good receivers there, is it Smith's there or
Cooper
Olave?
Kupp, but he's out for a
He
significant.
can't stay healthy.
Yeah. So
Should I draft
it's
Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp, and who's the next? Jalen Waddle?
Calvin Ridley.
Too early. I think I'd rather go ETN.
How about Najee Harris?
I would rather go ETN there too.
DK Metcalf.
Oh, that's tough. Like they're both kind of the same player, ETN and DK.
You like Metcalf.
I'm going to draft Travis Etienne because you guys, I had 5 seconds left.
Okay.
So I had to, now I'm going to go after a wide receiver.
Well, you got your 2 running backs.
I got my 2 running backs and they're really good.
That's in a 14-league team, so that's hard to get.
Yes. I have 2 really good running backs. Now I need to find
Because
myself.
Your next pick, the old running back's going to be gone, basically.
Yeah. But I'm drafting in a pretty good spot. So I think I go with a tight end. I think I could wait for a wide
You
receiver.
went for a receiver.
Yeah, I could wait for a wide receiver. Debo Samuels is still up there. I could draft him. He'll have a good season because Purdy will give him the ball and he can run the ball. So he does both. So, and maybe I go after a quarterback. I mean, obviously Patrick Mahomes is off the board. I'm not surprised about that.
Rodgers is
You
still
could grab
there.
Hurts, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I knew somebody was going to draft Patrick Mahomes.
Of
I'm not going to reach for Patrick Mahomes this early. There's a lot of other quarterbacks that I can go after later that are just as good or even better than him. One of them, Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a phenomenal year if he stays healthy.
If you wait for the 4th, you can swing for Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields.
That's what I'm going to.
yeah.
I'm going to wait till the 4th in this PPR league, but I am going to go after a wide receiver, even tight end. I might wait tight end because you can find a tight end later. I'm going to go after a wide receiver if Debo is still there. I'm
how
drafting.
they draft though.
What do you mean?
It depends on like what people start taking.
Well, I'm watching what people are taking.
Yeah, I
Nobody
know.
wants to draft Cooper Kupp, but if Cooper Kupp is there,
take him in the 3rd.
I'm taking him in the 3rd. I mean, people are stupid if they're leaving Cooper Kupp there. I mean, that's ridiculous. Cooper Kupp's only going to be out a week.
I know.
But
he's an injury-prone player.
I don't care.
I'm going to take in the 3rd round. You could take the risk.
I'm going to take Cooper Kupp. At one point, was in the top 5.
I know he was.
Now he fell out. What is he missing? 2 weeks?
Yeah, he was 2nd in points per game with the wide receivers before he got hurt. Like he was having just as good of a year the way he started in 2021.
I'm definitely going to take him. How long is he going to be out? Check that out, Speedy. How long do they say he's going to be out? He's not going to be out that long. He didn't tear his ACL, so it's probably 1 to 2 weeks. It'd be worth it to me to lose the first week if I have Cooper Kupp in my starting lineup, you know, in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, there's all it says right now is out for week 1. Could land on an IR spot, but that would make him out until week 6. But again, it's one of those things where at the 3rd round, you might as well take the chance because if you can get him in the 3rd round and he does stay healthy after that, he's a top 3 wide receiver for fantasy. I don't think you could have any bad argument.
But
with
I'm
that.
looking at it. DK Metcalf still sitting there too. Maybe I go after DK.
Yeah, it depends on if you want to take a safe chance or a big risk with the injury with that.
I could still wait until the next round. Cooper Kupp might still be there.
He might still be there.
He might still be there. Everybody's passing up on him.
CeeDee Lamb's probably
I don't
gone,
think
right?
Mikey C will pass up on him.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, I would have told him to take CeeDee Lamb in the 2nd if he was still there.
I'm just questioning, should I draft Cooper Kupp? If he's going to be on IR, that could really set me back. That's what it is. Is there a lot of stories coming out that he is going to miss a significant amount of time?
There's no official diagnosis yet with the 2nd. Remember, it's the 2nd hamstring injury. Too.
DK Metcalf is off now.
Okay.
So, I mean, now I have it's either Cooper Kupp or, man.
If Olave or Smith are still there, maybe that's a safe one. I don't know if any of them are still there either, but
I'm looking right now. Let me get to wide receivers. I'm trying to find this.
Yeah, Sean McVay is not optimistic right now, so maybe he is going to go on IR.
Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, Keenan Allen.
Allen can't stay healthy.
That's the problem because now all the wide receivers.
Either.
So where do I go? Amari Cooper?
Probably if you want to go safe, Cooper is the best bet, or maybe you just take a different position now and then wait on a wide receiver if you don't want to take Kupp.
What rookies?
I need a wide receiver.
What rookies are out there?
DJ Moore.
I like DJ Moore. I mean, it's a little early for the ranking, but I like DJ Moore. That's probably your best option if you want to go with a receiver now.
Amari Cooper.
I like them both kind of in the same spot.
I would go with Amari Cooper.
All right.
He's a better.
He's consistent.
He's a better consistent player. Mikey C is going to not go. He's going to take Cooper Kupp. He's definitely going to.
That's true. Mikey C does love Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, he's definitely drafting Cooper Kupp. He's not going to let him go. He'll wait till week 6 and take a chance with him. Because if he's sitting there going into the next round, I'm drafting Cooper Kupp. But
of course, yeah.
I don't believe Cooper Kupp will be there. And I think I go another wide receiver. There's not a lot of good wide receivers still available. Christian Kirk is still there. I could dip in with him. I mean, he had a good season last year. DJ Moore would probably be my next pick. I would go in, or Christian Watson, another guy.
That's interesting too. Like John Daigle was saying last week too, like he gets a lot of good bunch points too. Like he'll get 30-something point weeks.
So, but anyways, I'm sorry for all the fans out there. We're talking fantasy. NFL media, Mike Garofalo reports that Mike Evans will end his contract talks with the Buccaneers if he's not signed by Saturday. Multiple reports said that Evans and the Buccaneers have not been in communication since last Saturday.
Oh, that's not good.
Evans is in his final year of a 4-year, $14.86 million deal signed in 2020. Evans had 77 catches for 1,124 yards, 6 touchdowns last season. Evan is 29 years old with 683 catches, 10,425 yards, and 81 touchdowns. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, if Evans were to really retire right now, he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, of course.
No, it's not of course. I mean,
no question about
I mean, you can argue the numbers, but absolutely. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It does. And I still think he has a lot left in him. I think he would fit really well with the Giants.
Well, how old is he now?
Really
He's
well.
30...
By the way, Cooper Kupp was picked up, by the way. And so was Jalen Hurts. So I might have to go quarterback, but I'm going to fish for a quarterback. I need the wide receiving help. Do I draft a Mike Evans? I mean, he's still available in this. I heard Keenan Allen. He likes Keenan Allen. As what we said in the 4th round, he's the number 1 pick in a PPR league. Do I draft Keenan Allen now? Now that he's still available in this league, because John Daigle says he's definitely a go guy.
Yeah, he's safe and consistent if you want to take that approach with the wide receiver and then maybe go for an upside guy later. I still like Watson or Moore, though, too, as potential options, or Cooper. Like
Christian Watson?
Yeah, you have all good options at that point, too. It just depends on what style you want.
Or do I get another running back?
Whoa, that's actually not a bad idea either, because then people could talk trades like our other leagues doing.
Kenneth Walker's still available. Breece Hall's still available. I mean, there's some good running backs. Dalvin Cook is still available. That's why a lot of people. I will go after Alvin Kamara.
What about Kamara?
He's still available. People are stupid, man. They're really dumb. So you best believe if Alvin Kamara is there in the 5th or 6th round, I'm scooping him right up. So
I don't know if Beeb, I don't know if he's told you about what James was doing him last week with Kenneth Walker and Calvin Ridley and all these other guys.
He mentioned to me some kind of tree, but
he was relentless with not trading.
A lot of these guys are relentless. And by the way, Mikey's drafting back to back. Let's see how this lunatic drafts, by the way.
I could have landed Cooper Kupp. Oh, well.
Yeah, he could. And by the way, my guy is gone. So Keenan Allen is gone.
There you go.
So I don't have a shot at Keenan Allen. But who's my next guy? Joe Burrow, they say, right over there. DeAndre Hopkins is another one. If he's still Amari Cooper, I already drafted in the 3rd round. TJ Hawkinson.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's not a bad because he tends to be like after Mark Andrews. He tends to be a very popular 3rd tight end. I know Brian Drake, when we had him on the show, likes TJ Hawkinson a lot.
Yeah, but there's still George Kittle who's still available.
It's interesting because what's weird with the 49ers is Brock Purdy used Kittle a lot more than you saw Jimmy G do
of course he
season. So it's a weird thing to trust because Kittle's always been a great blocker and kind of his receiving's gone down in recent years because of his injuries.
It's interesting when you look at how everybody's falling and teams. If you look at this league, everybody is falling exactly the way you expected them to fall. And now I'm sitting here in the 4th round and I'm kind of contemplating, do I go after a wide receiver when I have my 2 running backs, or do I go after a running back or a tight end that puts me in a better position? So I don't know. I still think there's quite a few running backs that I would draft and I could get in the later rounds. I think wide receivers are starting to fall. So Deontay Johnson is still available. Tyler Lockett, Brandon Ayuk, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, and DeAndre Hopkins is still theirs. And I think DeAndre Hopkins would be my next pick.
Yeah, I think somebody in his draft too, Daigle's video that I showed you. I think
in the 4th round.
Somebody else like DeAndre Hopkins too in that spot too. So if McLaurin does go, that's an interesting other option as well.
Well, what did John Daigle think about that choice? Did he like that choice?
Well, he thought that Hopkins was probably going to wait till more to the 4th or 5th round. I think he was surprised he took him that early because I think Cooper was still there at the time, if I remember correctly.
I got Cooper,
which is a good pick. Like he's very consistent. I know he was. I think he was saying he's most consistent season since his 2016 year with the Raiders. Because you know, Beav with Dallas, sometimes he would disappear in games too, like out of nowhere. And
I love George Pickens too this year. I really do. But I wouldn't draft him early like this in the 4th round. I did in our league. I drafted him early because I trust. You know, where everything was falling. By the way, I don't know if it's your cousin, your friend, James.
No, it's my cousin's, it's my cousin's brother.
Oh, he's been reaching out to me and trying to pitch me crap for Kenneth Walker. And I told him, I'm not taking crap for Kenneth Walker. And he said, you want me to give you Kenneth Walker? I want Calvin Ridley. He says, well, I'm not giving up Calvin Ridley. I said, I drafted Kenneth Walker in the same round before Calvin Ridley. He says, well, you made a mistake. I said, well, why do you want Kenneth Walker then? I mean,
this is a guy that has Jonathan Taylor, keep in mind.
Yeah.
So his number 1 running back is Pacheco.
I mean, it's funny when people are arguing about something when he's completely wrong about what he's arguing about.
I know. Well,
so I think it's funny. Don't get me wrong. I'm still looking at, and there are some good quarterbacks still available, by the way. And if anybody is obviously drafting, I am not drafting a quarterback till the 5th round. I'm going to wait. There's still Justin Fields, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott. I know you don't like him. Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, Tua. I mean, there's a lot of good wide quarterbacks. I don't have to reach for a quarterback. Now I'm just reaching for my second wide receiver. Where do I go when it comes to the wide receiver? I mean, Deontay Johnson is the best one rated on the top. Brandon Ayuk, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Godwin, and now I'm drafting. Where do you guys go?
I would go Moore.
You would go Moore. Where would you go?
What do you have left? Who's out there?
Deontay Johnson, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Godwin, and
it's either Hopkins or Moore.
Hopkins or Moore? Should I go with Hopkins?
I like Moore.
He's the number 1 target.
So Hopkins. So is Moore, right?
Moore is the number 1 target, but is he going to get the ball a lot when he has a running quarterback?
Yeah, that's the only tricky thing to judge because like they barely threw the ball.
DeAndre Hopkins is going to get his touches.
Yes.
He is going to get his touches. I'm going DeAndre Hopkins. I think it makes sense. And like you said, or go to TJ Hawkinson. Do I go TJ Hawkinson?
You know,
he might be back around.
You know, Hopkins is going to get he's going to get the ball. So you know he's
going to get the ball and he's going to get touchdowns.
Yes.
But I'm going to go wide receiver because I know DeAndre Hopkins will get the touchdowns. Yes. He had 8 touchdowns last year and he barely played.
What's his projection for this year?
6.3.
He'll have more than that.
I couldn't draft, by the way. They drafted for me. Deontay Johnson.
Oh shit. Oh.
I was waiting. Deontay, I'm not
mad.
Fine.
He's fine.
I'm not mad about Deontay Johnson. I think he's a good player. He's not the guy that I wanted. But again, I'm doing a show.
He's basically the younger Keenan Allen. He's basically just the short route guy that'll get a lot of catches.
He's going to get a lot of catches, a lot of touches. It'll be fun.
He's the number 1 guy.
I know.
On Pittsburgh.
Yeah. The last year he had a fluke year of having 0 touchdowns. Like you can expect that to happen again.
No.
I couldn't believe that.
No, I had him in like 3 out of 4 of my leagues. I know it well. And
I'm kind of pissed off.
He was still steady with like 10 points, 11 points a week. He just couldn't get a touchdown.
I'm kind of pissed off that I messed up there. I definitely messed up there. So I'm not very happy about that. So hopefully I come back around and I clean up what I just did. So
it'll be fine.
I know, but
14-team league, you'll be all right.
14-team league, and I have Deontay Johnson as my second target for my wide receivers.
That's all right. You've got 2 good running backs.
I do, and I might have to go after another one, or I'm going to have to go after another wide receiver
or a quarterback.
Yeah, because I have to have a flex guy too. So and a tight end. I'm going tight end next round. Anyways, getting back into what we were talking about, we're going to get into obviously, we're going to go through each and every conference and division at 8:00, and we will go through it and really argue our points on where we think some of these teams, some of the awards, and how it's going to fall. TJ Hawkinson was taken off, so I'm kind of screwed there. But to get back into it, I think when you look at Mike Evans and obviously the money that he wants, he deserves it. 81 touchdowns, over 10,000 yards. I mean, those are really Brandon Marshall numbers. If you look at Brandon Marshall's numbers as an NFL player in the 12 years that he played, those are almost identical. And this guy's 29 years old. It still has another 3-4 good years left. So I think a guy like Mike Evans is a guy that you definitely want to pay. And if they don't pay him, somebody else will. And I could see them trading him as a lot of people believe that he could be available sometime at the trade deadline.
It makes a lot of sense too, because the Buccaneers are not going to get a lot of value out of him more than what they did last season.
How old is he now? He's in his 30s, right?
Yeah, he's 29 right now.
Oh, okay.
Again, like Errol was saying, he's been very good touchdown guy. Even last year when he had a lot of drops and was kind of inconsistent last year, he still had those kinds of numbers, which is very good in itself too. So any
Brady
team,
there. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, but also think about last year too for the Buccaneers. They had no running game. They had a really bad offensive line, and he still put up those kinds of numbers too in the second half of the season to get them to win that division. Remember, they almost missed the playoffs in that horrible division last year.
Because they had so many injuries.
Yeah, so many injuries. Their offensive line, like Marpet retired, Jensen was hurt.
Their defense was hurt. Their offensive line was hurt.
So he still did well amidst all that, and that's why I think they're going to not have a choice but to trade him. I know he's their franchise guy. I know the fans are going to be annoyed if they don't trade him, but this might be the best value they can get for a team that is not going to be very good.
You got Baker Mayfield there, please.
Yeah, and you got Baker Mayfield there, who has not been good at stretching the field, which is Mike Evans' strength. And he's not been good with deep accuracy throughout his career either. So I don't know how much this is going to expand his value the same way. And that's
why
better
off going into the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants, yeah, like Errol was saying, there's a lot of other options for contenders that need wide receivers. I was hearing the Buffalo Bills, if they don't think they're going to be able to re-sign Gabe Davis, maybe they could just get him on a flyer, like a 2 or 3 year type deal where Mike Evans will get the money he wants on a shorter deal. And Buffalo takes him on to go along with Josh Allen, who obviously has a big arm and could help maybe extend Evans' career where he could have a better shelf life too.
Now I'm looking at, I'm up next. There is still DeAndre Hopkins. DJ Moore is still available. And on the running backs area, we still have quite a few. Javonte Williams.
I like him. Yep.
Do you think I should draft him?
I wouldn't take him over a wide receiver.
No. Draft a wide receiver.
I would draft a wide receiver.
Where do I go?
I still like Moore a little more, but again, if you trust Hopkins more for the deep shots and the touchdowns, go for it.
Well, they're both average about the same amount of points. I mean, where they are. I mean, you can argue. I'm going to go with Moore if he's still available.
I'll definitely take Moore.
I'll draft Moore. I don't like the Johnson move. Okay, I don't know. I'm not very happy with that pick. But again, I waited too long. I'm not going to wait that long on this pick. So I'm going to let it fall for what it is. And this guy is waiting to the last second. He waited for the last second. Mike Williams, he drafted.
Which I'm not as high on this year. So I think you lucked out there.
TJ Moore, I'm going to draft him. There we go.
I don't know. Quentin Johnson and Keenan Allen there. It's going to be tough for them to get consistent targets there too.
Yes. And I think
I had him last year too, and he was very inconsistent because of that, even in a year where Allen was hurt too.
Yes. Now I have to do I look at a running back now? I have 3 wide receivers. Do I go running back now?
What running backs are out there?
Or tight ends, because there's not many tight ends available.
There's going to be a drop off probably after that Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goddard area.
Kyle Pitts is still there.
If he's there in the 6th, I would definitely take him.
Yeah. Kyle Pitts in the 6th.
Because I can't imagine.
Darren Waller's still there.
That was Daigle's guy. That was Daigle's guy. Tight end 3 for him.
Should I go Darren Waller?
I would trust Daigle's instincts there over mine, if you want to judge that.
If he's still there, if Darren Waller's still there, I draft him.
I think you trust him more over Pitts.
And a quarterbacks, there's still Justin Fields, Dak Prescott. I mean, Deshaun Watson.
It's hard not to take
Aaron
Fields
Rodgers
if he doesn't fall there, though. Because
rushing
upside is insane for Fields.
So if he falls all the way to the 6th round,
I think that's better than a tight end at the spot.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll do that.
You got Fields in the 6th in our league, and that was a 10-team league.
Yeah, it's going to have to jump a lot if I get.
I don't think he'll be there, but I'm just saying if he is,
I don't know. I mean, I look at my team right now with obviously you have Cooper, Johnson, Eckler, Etienne, and Moore. It's a pretty good team. I mean, in a 14-team league, it's a pretty good team. I should go after another running back because they're going to start to drop.
Yep.
They're definitely going to start to drop. And if any of these guys get hurt, I'm screwed. Okay. So that's the problem here. Now there might be, and they're all Darren Waller was picked, by the way.
Okay.
He was picked.
How many teams make the playoffs? 6?
I would say 7, right?
7?
7 teams made.
I don't think you have 7.
One's a bye.
Number.
No, because one's the bye. One team gets the bye, and the other 6 play against one another.
Oh yeah, I guess it's possible.
Could be.
I never saw that before, but yeah, I guess it's possible.
I think that's the way it's going.
I think the most 14 I've seen is 6 teams. That's
6.
With the 2 getting
Mine's
by.
6.
Okay.
Our league 6.
Now everybody's taking their dear old time because they're
trying to stall you to drive you crazy.
They're stalling me, man. Let me tell you, I the only thing I don't like is the Johnson move. I didn't like that, but again, I don't know what's going to happen to Deontay Johnson. He doesn't stay healthy. If he stays healthy, he could be really good. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do with a young quarterback. But let's go through it, okay? What are you doing over here, Speedy?
No, I was trying to give him the password to get into the computer.
All right, so let's go through it. Speedy, you have music?
Yes, I do.
All right, let's go through the NFC East first. I'll let you go first, Speedy. You go through team to team. Give me their record, where you think their record is going to be from top to bottom. Really, where the teams, why you think the teams are going to have that, the team is going to have that record. Who do you think is going to be a breakout player? You know what we do every single year. Let's go through it. We'll do the NFC East first. Are you ready?
Yep.
And then you, Beeve, then me.
All right. So number one, I think we all are thinking the same way. The Philadelphia Eagles. I know you're a Cowboys fan. I know you'd like to hear that because I know Dallas has been close in recent years, but they just got too much talent this offseason with that defensive line. They improved a lot with their running game too. I think Swift is an upgrade over Sanders, and I think even Rashad Penny is not far behind Miles Sanders either. So I don't think they're going to miss a beat with their running game. The only thing that concerns me with the Eagles long term is what our friend Kenyon Barner was mentioning, just 2 coordinator changes. But I can't imagine this team regressing too badly. I think they're going to be 13-4. It's going to be a harder schedule, so I don't think they're going to be like a 15-2, 14-3 team. But 13-4, they're my number 1 seed in the NFC too. And a guy to watch out for on that defensive line too, Josh Sweat, a guy that Derek mentioned last year was getting a lot more reps towards the end of the season too. And offensively, it's tough to go wrong with somebody like Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert too as breakout candidates. So the Eagles 13-4, they're my number 1 seed in the NFC East.
That's who you got, Speedy?
Yep. Are you going surprise here, Beav? Are you sticking with the Eagles?
No, I'm going to pick the Cowboys this year to win this division. I mean,
all right.
They upgraded their defense. They got a lot better on defense. I mean, Michael Parsons has looked unbelievable in practice and preseason this year. I mean, the guy's a beat. He's coming after everybody. And, Mike McCarthy's calling the plays now. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but
you don't love the great Kellen
No,
Moore.
I don't trust. I don't trust Dak Prescott, but something tells me he's got something to prove this year after the season they had last year. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys at 13-4. The Eagles going to be 12-4. Washington's going to be 3rd, and the Giants going to be last. That's what I'm going with.
That's what you guys are going with. You guys went pretty fast, and I thought you were going to.
He was doing all 4 teams. I thought we were going to rotate.
No, you go once at a time. Go one at a time. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yes. That's what we were saying. All right. So you have the Cowboys going 1. I have the Philadelphia Eagles going number 1, obviously, with the defense that they have, the youngsters that they have. Jalen Carter is going to be beastly this year, could be defensive rookie of the year. I like their running game. They added Swift in the offseason. They have A.J. Brown. They have Smith. And Jalen Hurts, if he stays healthy this year, this team could win 14 games. I really do believe it. They have a tremendous offensive ability. And really, their offensive line, which is the best in football, they're coming back. Johnson's back. Kelce is back for another year. I expect that this offensive line will stay healthy and be able to compete all season long against some of the best defenses in the NFL. I mean, if you look at the NFC East, you have 4 teams that could go in the top 10 when it comes to defensive talent. So it's going to be fun this year with both, with the Eagles. And I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC East.
All right, so I'm going to go with Dallas number 2. I'm going to say 10-7 for them. I think they fall off a little bit record-wise with the harder schedule, but I think their improvements this offseason are helpful. I like the move for Brandon Cooks a lot because they always were missing that number 2 receiver alongside CeeDee Lamb for quite a while after they traded Amari Cooper. They were trying to patch guys in, and I think he's going to be an impactful player. He's a pretty steady player year to year, and that's going to help them with their other receivers kind of being more slot types.
I got a question for you guys.
All right.
Quarterback, all the quarterbacks are going off the board.
Rodgers.
There's Tua or Rodgers. Who do you go?
Rodgers.
Russell Wilson.
Rodgers.
You could probably wait around on Russell Wilson if you want to target that.
I'm going with Rodgers.
Go Rodgers?
I would.
I would wait around and target Russell Wilson, but
wait around. I need a quarterback. Who do I draft?
Rodgers.
What are the tight ends left? I think you could draft a tight end.
He needs a quarterback.
I need a quarterback. There's no quarterbacks available in the 14th. Everybody's drafting. You know who's left? Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Tua, Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff. I mean, do you trust that these quarterbacks are going to be good?
Rodgers.
I'm going to go Rodgers or Tua.
Rodgers.
Should I go Tua?
Draft another backup if you're going to draft two. I did that in my other league.
I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers.
There you go.
I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers.
Going back to Dallas, we'll see what their defense is in the second half of the season. They were a little bad against the run.
Yeah, they picked up Gilmore from the Patriots.
Gilmore is a nice move. I think that'll help their secondary depth a lot because
and they're moving Parsons up to
safety.
No, linebacker.
Linebacker? All right, yeah. I'm curious what they're going to do with Parsons because they tried to make him an exclusive.
And he lost a lot of weight, and he's faster now. He's all bulked up.
Yeah, I think the notion of him trying to have to just be a pure pass rusher is really beside itself too. Like he's good in other areas. Why not use him in other areas too?
Yeah.
That's why I think the big breakouts have to come from who is that second pass rusher, because I think that's something that Dallas has not figured out yet. They gave DeMarcus Lawrence the big contract, and he is kind of underwhelmed since then because he's really just a speed rusher and doesn't have a lot of great run stopping abilities either. The defensive line was pretty good against the run in the first half, but not good in the second half. So where do they come with that? Dan Quinn's done a nice job. The other thing that's concerning, too, is the offensive line for Dallas, who's had some injury issues already this preseason.
They have, but they'll be all right. I mean, they drafted the running back Deuce Vaughn, who's looked really good, too.
Yep.
So, I mean, you got him and Pollard. So it's a different offense now.
Yeah, Deuce Vaughn was a very good player.
And again, McCarthy's calling the plays, so it's going to be totally different.
I'm almost up again. Do I go Alvin Kamara in this round if he's still sitting there?
I'd take him, yes.
I mean, Antonio Gibson is still there.
I would do Kamara.
Yeah, Kamara. I think I'll go Kamara too. He's sitting there. DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson, A.J. Dillon, Zach Charbonnet. I'm not going to draft the tight end until the end. I mean, I don't really care.
I think there's no competition for Kamara. Like everyone else has competition. You got Brian Robinson for Washington. You have, like I said, Rashad Penny for Philly. Like Kendry Miller's already hurt. Who's going to steal touches for Kamara? Like I think that's a really good spot for him.
Yes, he would be a pretty good fall if I get him. I'm worried that somebody's going to now. Michael Majestic. He's got the last pick before I get him. I will draft Alvin Kamara.
Carl comments on Jesus beef. Tell him Ezekiel Elliott isn't on the squad anymore. I think he knows.
All right,
so I know. So I got the Eagles second at 12-4.
All right, I have the Cowboys second. I think with Micah Parsons and what this team is capable to do defensively this year, I like Dak Prescott. I know you don't like him, but I like that what they're going to do this year. Pollard's going to have a great year. He's the guy. He is going to be a guy that's going to get touches at catching the ball and running the ball. And I think CeeDee Lamb is going to have another phenomenal year. He's expecting a big contract at the end of the season. If he has another year like he had last year with close to 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns, he's going to get his money. And Alvin Kamara was drafted by him. This guy drafted him right before me. Wow. It pissed me off, man. I am so pissed off right now. Antonio Gibson?
Gibson, you got to go with.
Or Gabe Davis?
Gibson.
Gibson?
Gibson.
Yeah. Gabe Davis is really streaky. He's very tough to trust.
I mean, you got Brandon Cooks there now, and you got a healthy Michael Gallup also in Dallas.
A.J. Dillon?
So
don't love him.
Pirine?
I like Pirine, so that would be the second option if you don't want to do Gibson.
Oh, man, I'm so pissed off, man. I am so pissed off right now.
Majestic thief.
Yeah, he's a majestic thief. I'm going to go with Antonio Gibson.
I'll go take Kamara and draft his backup.
I was going to take Kamara.
Yeah,
I was going to take him.
Carl. He was trying to.
He was taken before me. I'm so pissed off. So pissed off, man.
Carl says 12-4. There are 17 games played. So you're 12-5 for the Eagles.
12-5.
12-5.
I am going. By the way, with the offensive side of the ball, CeeDee Lamb, and I think that this team all around is going to be a dangerous team defensively if they stay healthy this year and they stay out of trouble off the field. I expect them to be a top 5, top 7 defense in the NFL with Micah Parsons being one of the lead, rushers in all of football. I think he's fantastic. I think he's going to get at the quarterback. He's going to hit the quarterback a lot. I would say the Cowboys are going to win 12 games this year. I think they're a 12-5 team, 11-6 team this year. They make the playoffs. They're a wild card team. I question the coaching over there. And now with the new offensive coordinator, I'm questioning that. So we'll see what they can do. They have the same defensive coordinator, they have the same defense. So I expect them to be at the top of the food chain this year. So I would say number 2, the Cowboys.
All right. So my next two are in a tie. I think Washington and the Giants are both going to tie at 8 and 9 this season. I'll give the edge to Washington because the Giants usually struggle in the division. They can't beat the Eagles to save their life, and the Cowboys usually beat them at least once, if not sweep them for the season. So I'll give Washington the tiebreaker here. A lot to like with those offensive skill players, like you're just saying. You just drafted Gibson. You also got 3 good receivers if Curtis Samuel could stay healthy as well. And Eric Bieniemy is there. I know there was tension with those guys. Oh, the guy's too intense, but I don't think that's going to last the whole season. I think maybe it'll take a little while, but you look at Sam Howell, who's played well in the preseason, and a defense that should play better on paper. They're weak in the middle of the field. They've drafted a lot of linebackers that have not panned out for them and a lot of veteran guys, but I think their pass rush, if Chase Young comes back healthy, is going to be a tough one for them to be able to do. And their secondary, they drafted a couple corners, a lot of corners that played well for them last year, too, at the beginning of the season. So I think they'll be better. Not a playoff team, Washington, but I do think they'll be better 8 and 9. I have them tied with the Giants in 3rd.
Yeah. I have the Redskins over the Giants.
Okay.
And I just, for some reason, their defense is good. You got Gibson there. I mean, Washington is going to be a tough team, tougher than the Giants. I still don't trust Daniel Jones for the Giants. I'm sorry. I don't trust him as a quarterback. I don't think he's any good. So yeah, I have the Redskins at 9 and 8.
The only question with
the Giants at 8 and 9.
The only question with their offense is really their offensive line, and obviously if Howell is actually a good quarterback, I don't know if I necessarily trust him to be great, but I think he'll at least be competent in that scheme. So the Giants' offensive lines had their own kind of issues too, and if Evan Neal could pass block to save his life, that would only help too.
I like the Giants this year. I think they can win 9 or 10 games. I think they have the quarterback, Daniel Jones. I think they can run the ball. Saquon Barkley is going to have a great year. I really do believe that. And their defense is going to be even better with Wink there. He didn't get a job in the offseason. He only interviewed for one of them. I do believe Wink Martindale is the defensive guru for the New York Giants. It's something they haven't had since they won a Super Bowl, in 2011. I think they have the ability to get to the quarterback. And I also believe they could throw the ball with Darren Waller this year. I think they'll be able to get the ball to Darren Waller, who will give them about 7 or 6 touchdowns and command double teams in the open field. I think they're good, and I think the Giants could make the playoffs. I think there could be 3 wild card teams that come out of the East like it did last year. Give me the Giants. I think the Giants are a 10-7 team, right? Or a 10-8 team? Or what is that? 10-7 team or a 9-8 team. They could sneak in as a wild card team, the last wild card team. So I would say they're the third best team in the NFC East.
Yeah, and I look at what the Giants, what they have of the wide receivers. Hopefully Darren Waller could definitely help maybe factor in because he's right now played a lot of big slot in this preseason. That's where he really strived in that preseason game against the Panthers, and that's where I think the camaraderie is going to be. The problem is the Giants have a lot of guys that are traditional slot receivers, and they're going to need someone else to emerge. I like Isaiah Hodgins, but he's really the only one I could trust on a consistent basis. And their defense, they definitely got a lot better talent-wise this offseason, too. I like the move for Okereke, the linebacker. Deontay Banks had a really good preseason, too. The question is with them is can they get enough consistent edge rushing, too, in Wink's scheme? With Thibodeau and Ojulari, if they can stay healthy, too, they got some depth, but do they have enough of those guys to help out their counter? And stopping the run, too, was an issue for the Giants at certain points last year. And offensively, like I was saying, Beef, offensive line, they better wake up if they want to have any chance.
Daniel Jones can't protect the ball.
Yeah, Daniel Jones was very good at efficiency last year. Will it carry over to this year will be another question because he has been fumble prone in the past too. And if this offensive line can't protect, especially on that right side with Neal, which he liked to run to a lot, that's going to be very hard. All right, Carl has some predictions. Eagles 12-5, Cowboys 11-6, Giants 8-9. And Washington 7-10. No snug. The Cowboys should not bring back Jason Garrett.
No.
One thing Cowboys fans, the Giants fans can agree on. Jason Garrett stinks.
He was horrible. Worst coach in NFL ever.
I'm going to go Washington as my final team in the NFC East. I think they're good defensively. I question their offense because they're complaining already about Eric Bieniemy. So I don't know what's going to happen this year with the quarterback. Sam Howell, you can't trust Sam Howell as their starting quarterback.
Kobe Bouchette there.
They got to put somebody. Maybe they should put their coach because they stink. I don't know what they're going to do. I think they fire their – I think Rivera is going to get fired before the season's end. I just don't know if this team knows where they're going. I think ownership with Harris is definitely moving in the right direction, but I just think they're a 7-win team, an 8-win team. I don't think they're any better than that. So I say Washington's the worst team in the NFC East.
Maybe Washington's a trade for Zach Wilson to reunite him with Dax Milne, his college teammates.
NFC North.
All right, another one I have a virtual tie for. I have the Packers and the Bears both tied at 7 and 10. I'll just say I don't know which the tiebreaker is going to be. I'll give it to the Bears right now as last. I think the Packers will do a little better in division play, so I'll just say that it's a virtual tie. Chicago's defense is what we're still trying to see if it's going to transition. Eberflus is a great defensive coordinator. I think he's going to make a lot of these young guys really good up front. We've seen Jack Sanborn, Dominique Robinson play very well last year up front. And the secondary, I think, will get better over time. But this offense is what I'm excited about this year. When you look at somebody like Khalil Herbert at running back, Justin Fields, obviously, we know what he could do on the ground. I think he'll lead the league in rushing yards this year. And DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney as well, giving them some spacing in that offense, too. They just need, like John Daigle was saying last week, they need to throw the ball for a better volume. I think they improved this week. I think they're like the Lions of last year. They'll be a little short of the playoffs. I have them at 7 and 10.
So in the 8th round, who do you go with if there's a tight end available? Tyler Higbee, Dalton Kincaid, Akinkokwel, Laporta.
I like Laporta.
Yeah.
He's my favorite rookie tight end this year. Kincaid could be good. I just want to see how Buffalo transitions.
I know. What's his name again? Liked him too. Laporta.
I think Brian Drake did. Yeah,
no, John Daigle liked him,
and he liked Musgrave later on too. If you were waiting on it, I think Laporta would be the play I want. It's just the same thing I said about every other Lions guy. Like they're going to get targets because all these guys are suspended. So I like Laporta.
All right, I got Laporta. I took him as my tight end.
There you go.
There we go. I'm taking a dump. Here we go. I'm dumping away, ladies and gentlemen.
Dumping away, baby.
I'm dumping away. Screw you, Mike.
I see you found your enemy in this league.
Yeah.
Besides Mikey C.
Well,
it's definitely Mikey C.
It's definitely Mike. Are you kidding me? Mike was talking crap. This is what you're going to make excuses because you're doing a show and you're picking your team. I said, you're an idiot. You're a jackass. Go kiss my ass. That's what I told him.
All right, so I got Chicago 7 and 10. Like I said, a virtual tie with the Packers. So B, if you got number 4 in the NFC South.
NFC South
or NFC North.
NFC North. I don't with the Packers. I don't trust Jordan Love. I don't know what he's going to be with. I mean, he has no one to throw the ball to. They have no run game at all. I mean, Packers. I could see finishing in dead last, probably like 6 and 10, if that. I mean, they've done nothing to help themselves. They have no money. They've done nothing at all.
All right, so Errol, number 4 in the NFC North. Who will be the worst team?
Oh, we're going worse now?
Yeah, we'll switch it up.
He switched it up on us.
All right. Here's what I think. I'm going to say this because I'm going to be very, very nice about it.
Uh-oh.
I think the Chicago Bears will be the worst team in this division.
Wow.
I do. Wow. I think they're not – and that's not saying anything bad about the team and the organization. I think Justin Fields is going to make strides. I think this team's going to make strides. DJ Moore and Mooney. I'm sorry. All these guys, they're going to make strides. This team is the offensive line is going to be better. This defense is going to be better. I just question, are they going to be able to stay intact? Is Justin Fields going to stay healthy all season long, which has been a big problem for Justin Fields since he's come into the league? It's just injury because he gets beaten up, but he's a tough kid. But I really think Chicago wins 8 games this year. I think they're going to win 8 games this year, but I just don't know if they're better than Detroit. I don't know if they're better than Minnesota or Green Bay. So I'm going to go with Chicago.
All right, so like I said, a virtual tie with the Bears and the Packers. I'll just give the Packers also 7 and 10, third place by default. So I don't know, tiebreakers are weird, but they still have the defense right there. Once they get these guys back healthy, their linebackers they improved on last year, bringing back Devondre Campbell. They drafted Quay Walker, who played well in the second half of the season for them. And they were able to keep besides Amos, they were able to keep a lot of their defensive backs, which I'm surprised they were able to do. Like you were saying, they're so cash strapped for a while. It seemed like something that was hard for them to do. They did lose, however, Preston Smith, and they where are they going to get the edge rushing from? Rashawn Gary's on one side. They drafted Lucas Van Ness. That's going to be a big question for them. But again, more of the questions come with the offense, obviously. That offensive line that can't stay healthy to save their life. Elton Jenkins was hurt last year. You had Josh Myers hurt last year. And then Bakhtiari, like we were saying, has played 1 game in the last 2 years. So very tough to trust. And they're wide receivers. In today's NFL, you need wide receiver depth, and they do not have it. And Jordan Love, I have less faith in than Errol does. I know Errol likes Jordan Love.
Love him.
But I have less faith in him. I still think he'll be a little turnover prone. And Matt LaFleur, can he actually be the coach to take that next step? Because he's been like a winning coach, but he's not like a great coach.
Should I go with Russell Wilson in the 10th round? I mean, he's coming
up.
I have wide receiver. I need a lot. I mean, you have so many bench guys. You have so many bench fillings, and they're still good players. Do I bring a second quarterback in, or do I wait? I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson's it's pretty good.
That's good value.
It's a good value over there.
Good value with a new team, a new coach.
Yeah, I think him sitting over there, he's the best quarterback available. I mean, do you trust Jared Goff? Do you trust Kenny Pickett or Sam Howell or Matthew Stafford or Derek Carr or Jordan Love or Jimmy Garoppolo?
No,
definitely not Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's the best guy available.
Definitely.
You take the best guy that's available.
I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. I mean, I do need more wide receiving help. I do need running back help. But I'm going to go with the guy that has a nice smile.
Yeah, Ciara is impressed.
All right, then.
All right, I got Russell Wilson. All right, there you go. I got a second quarterback. I'm done with quarterback.
Redemption season.
Yes.
All right, Speedy.
All right, Speedy. So
I have Packers 7-10, like again, tied for the Bears with third and fourth place.
Third and fourth. So I had the Packers last, like I said. I'm gonna go with Detroit Lions finishing in third place. I mean, Jared Goff to me is not a good quarterback. I think he's going to take a step back again this year. And they don't have much either. I mean, I don't trust their defense. I don't trust their run game. They really don't have a lot to throw the ball to. So Detroit's probably going to be 7-11.
They don't have a kicker in this league?
Or 7,
really?
Sorry, not 7-11.
I never saw that before.
They don't have a kicker in this league.
That's
7-10, not 7-11.
There's no kicker in this league.
There's 18 weeks.
That's interesting. That is the dream of great guest of the show, Ian Hardett. So that's always what he advocates for is ban kickers from fantasy football.
That's what he said.
Now I guess you finally have a league without a kicker.
Do I go defense now?
No, not this early.
No. Go another tight end?
Go with as much receiver and running back depth as you can at this point.
Wide receivers. Well, I'm not drafting for another 20 spots.
Oh, yeah. That's going to change a lot when it comes to running back and wide receiver depth.
I mean, such bad luck where I drafted, man. It's horrible. I mean, Marvin Mims Jr. is still available.
Yep, that was another one of Daigle's big guys.
I'm going to draft him next. I will bring him in. I do need another running back. Who's available right now? Ezekiel Elliott, Jalen Warren.
He's interesting.
Elijah Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Not many good ones. I mean,
a lot of rookies
Keandre Miller
in that spot. Yeah, that's the Saints rookie who I would imagine there's a lot of rookies. Miami's rookie,
Gus Edwards
there. Yeah, he's interesting too.
Maybe I should draft a running back because there's not many left of him.
Yeah,
Ezekiel Elliott.
He could get touchdowns.
Or Elijah Mitchell.
I think Mitchell's got more upside, but Zeke could get touchdowns in that system for sure. Patriots have a pretty good offensive line. And Zeke, even last year, still had a lot of touchdowns, even being kind of a second fiddle running back later in the season. So,
all right. So where we at? So the Beeve has who? Who
said Detroit, 7-10.
I said Detroit third.
All right. So
7-10.
Third, I have the Green Bay Packers. I think Green Bay, like you said, Speedy, I think they're practically the same record, 8-win team, 7-win team. I don't trust, and this doesn't take shots at Jordan Love. I like Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is a good quarterback. I just don't know with a young quarterback that you can strive and win that division. Now, everybody thinks that they could, but I think Detroit, this is the year that Detroit can win the division. They're talented, they're young, and I think they're hungry. I don't know if that of the Green Bay Packers. Losing Aaron Rodgers, so many stuff that happened in the offseason. Is this the right coach with this quarterback, with Jordan Love? And is this defense going to hold up? Something that they were supposed to do last year that didn't do, they didn't really do that in the second half until Aaron Rodgers, played with that broken thumb. So I don't know what this defense is. This defense has to be all world if they plan to make the playoffs, and I don't know if they can. So I have Green Bay winning 7 or 8 games.
Another virtual tie for me for 2-1. I think the Lions and Vikings will both tie. I am going to give them both 11 wins, but I'll give the odds to the Lions for the division. I'll say the Vikings are second. I think when you talk about the notion, Kirk Cousins doesn't win a big game. I think the one big game that he loses that hurts them, and I think that ends up making the difference. The Vikings, they have a great offensive line, obviously a great receiving core, drafting Jordan Addison. You got KJ Osborne, who played well in the second half, and obviously Jefferson is best receiver in football. Now, I'm a little less worried about their defense than Arrow is. I know he's had concerns with Minnesota's defense. I like them bringing in Brian Flores. I think he'll help out a lot of those young players that they're starting this year, especially with the linebacking core starting Troy Dye, Avon Pace, a rookie from Cincinnati, and their corners too. They're all young all at once. They signed Byron Murphy from Arizona. And a lot of their safeties and corners they drafted last year, too, that got hurt. I think Brian Flores is a good guy to help out with that. So I think the Vikings are still a playoff team. I'm going to give them 11-6. And I think they're going to be a wild card team, but I think the Lions can win it on a tiebreaker.
Wow. So I got the Vikings at 12-5.
12-5 in second place. Wow.
Yes. For first place.
Oh, first place.
First place. I think they're going to win division. I think this is the year that Kirk Cousins has a chance to blow this division away because all the teams like are not that good. And I mean, the only thing that worries me with the Vikings is he only has Justin Jefferson to really throw the ball to, and he has really nobody else. I mean, their run game is not that good, but if their defense stays healthy and Kirk Cousins can play very well without turning over the ball, they're going to be good.
I will say this. I think the Vikings are the second best team in this division. I think it's Detroit's division to win. I look at the Vikings, and there was a lot of things that really stood out to me in the offseason. They needed to add another offensive weapon. They did that. But he got in trouble in the offseason. So how many games is he going to be suspended? Jefferson is going to be asking for a lot of money in the offseason because he is the best wide receiver and probably the best offensive player in all of football. And Kirk Cousins. Is TJ Hockenson and Kirk Cousins going to have the season that they had last year together after the trade at the trade deadline? There's a lot of questions with this team. I love their coach. I think he's a great offensive mind, but the defense last year completely fell apart. They lost some defensive players in the offseason. The question is, are they going to be able to hold up? Are they going to be able to compete? So I have Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings winning 10 games this year.
Ooh.
All
right. But so who do I go with? I'm up. Wide receiver, Marvin Mims, Adam Thielen, Quentin Johnston, Alan Lazard. So those are the wide receivers. Running backs, Tyler Aguilar.
Not bad, yeah.
Jalen Warren, Elijah Mitchell. Or do I go with a defensive team in round number
Are you just
10?
picking backups now, or
I like Mitchell or Warren. Either one of them, if you can get one of those running backs, is good.
Mitchell or Warren?
Yeah. Warren's got a lot of pass catching reps from Najee Harris.
I like Mitchell.
I do too.
I think he's better. I think he's better. I'm going to go with Elijah Mitchell over there. So I'm going to take him. Big baby. Just sorry.
Yep.
Sorry.
Big baby?
So I'm just blowing it up.
No, we're not referring
Marvin
to the basketball player.
Marvin Mims is going next. So for all the fans out there, he's going next to the Big Easy. And then I'll draft defense.
So yes, I mentioned I have.
If he's still there.
I mentioned I have the Lions.
By the way,
division.
Mikey changed his name again.
Of course he did.
New York's best. Okay.
No.
Yeah,
New York's best, and he doesn't want to be a Giants fan.
Yeah, he needs to plow himself in the ass. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Who's your number one?
I got the Lions winning the division. I think there's a lot of great draft picks that they had this year. I know a lot of people were criticizing their first round. I do think Campbell is a nice player for them, though. What they really need to help out their run defense a lot, and he still can cover very well too, side to side on left parts against the screen too. Now the secondary, I mentioned I questioned with their corners being traded, but they said they draft Ryan Branch. They had a young safety in Kirby Joseph that played very well last year. Young linebacker and Malcolm Rodriguez who can cover as well. And their edge rushing too. Both Hutchinson and their other rookie, James Houston, a 5th round pick. Both had over 9 sacks last year.
By the way, Darnell Mooney is still available.
Take him if he's there.
Listen to Speedy. Take him.
Take him.
Take him. Were you stupid? Take him.
Yeah, but the Lions offense, we know how potent they can be, even with their receiving suspensions. I think they still have enough. Marvin Jones, they brought back as a solid veteran guy. I think he'll have that. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. And like John Daigle was saying, kind of the unluckiest wide receiver last year with not getting as much touchdowns as he should. I think that should improve. And their offensive line was the second best in terms of Pro Football Focus grades last year, only to the Eagles. And that'll help even bring in new running backs too with David Montgomery, who I've always liked, Carl, that coming from Chicago. I always liked him at Iowa State too. And Jared Goff, you got to play better on the road. That'll be the next step for him, but I do think he'll play better overall. So give me the Lions 11-6, tie with the Vikings for the division. I think they both make the playoffs, but give me the Lions to finally end the drought.
So you already picked Minnesota to win the division.
Yes.
All right, I have Detroit too. I think
I have Detroit second.
I know you said it. I have Detroit as my number one team. I think they're a fantastic team. They're built to win this year. I think they make the playoffs this year. I think for a person that's taken shots at Jared Goff over the last couple of years, I think he is the quarterback of this team and this organization in their future. I think they have everything. They added Montgomery in the offseason. I think they're going to be able to run the ball even better this year. And they have weapons all over the field. We all know what Brown is. We all know what he could do. When Williams actually plays and he doesn't get in trouble and he's on this roster, I think he's suspended for the first 11 games or something like that. Whenever he comes back, this team could be so prolifically offensively sound and defensively and the best offensive line in football. I think this team is transitioned into the best offensive line in football. Last year they were second. This year they're first. Give me Detroit, 12-win team this year. 12 wins. 11 or 12 wins. Give me Detroit as the number one team in the NFC North?
Oh, Tony Lippett's Super Bowl pick are to 2 of our 3 division champions. All right, Carl says Vikings 10-7, the Lions 9-8, lie downs 9-8, Bears 8-9, and the Packers 6-11. So we're going to the NFC South now.
Yes.
All right. So I think
I'm up now. So where do I go? Should I go defense now? I mean,
I would go
11th round.
I would check if any of those receivers are still there before you do that.
Darnell Mooney's still there.
I would take Mooney.
How about Marvin Mims?
Or Mims? Yeah, either one of them.
Which one should I go with?
Oh, that's tough. I think Mims with the receiver injuries now has more upside at this point.
Oh, he's definitely going to be their number one target.
Yeah, it looks that way. If Judy's still going to be hurt for a little while too, he's probably not going to play in week 1. And they already lost Tim Patrick.
And everybody says that this guy is the future number 1 on this team. They like him.
Yeah, upside is always good to go for.
Well, he liked it. John Daigle loved it.
He loves Mims. Yeah,
he loves him. And Darnell Mooney, I mean, Mooney will still be there.
Yeah,
I think Mooney will still be there.
Right.
I'm going with Mr. Mims.
Oh wait, also you have Russell Wilson too. Yeah, definitely take Mims. I forgot you also just drafted Russell Wilson. Pair those two together. Why not?
Right.
There you go.
Moon the Mooney.
Moon the Mooney.
Moon the Mooney.
Is that what Mikey?
I'm going defense next.
Is that what Mikey C's going to do after he gets plowed?
He's going to get plowed.
That's going to be his new team name, Moon the Mooney.
How about he'd just be called Plowman? You know, you just want to plow him. I mean, there's not many great defensive teams. I still have New England still there, They're Orleans,
safe, yeah.
Denver, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I need a team that has a lot of sacks. That's what I need.
No.
I need sacks.
Sacks?
I think Pittsburgh will have the most sacks.
They should. Yeah, they've always been pretty good with sacks. Like
I need a team because with sacks you get more points.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're always good with sacks and turnovers, even if they're raw yardage defense and their points defense.
Their defense is going to be good this year.
Yeah. So fantasy wise, it's always a safe bet because they can always get a lot of.
I mean, Denver right now is the highest ranked team still available.
Yeah, can they do it 2 years in a row with a new coordinator? Though it's going to be very hard.
Then there's New England. I mean, I could go with New England.
New England is safe because they're always pretty fundamentally sound. But Pittsburgh, I think, has a lot of upside if they can get that secondary going again. And I love that they drafted Porter too.
That's right, the Oriole Plow. Carl's giving the names out, baby. All right, let's go, Speedy.
All right, so NFC South, I think we're maybe in consensus here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be the worst team in this division. I think, like we were talking about earlier, they were trading away Mike Evans probably at the trade deadline. So their offensive line is abysmal. John Daigle is right. I do like the potential for Rashad White and maybe Chris Godwin in this offense, but that's really about it. There's not really a lot that you could trust. Their defense, Shaq Barrett's coming off a major injury too. Torn Achilles for an older pass rusher too. That's going to be hard for him to be able to come by. I like Vita Vea. I still like their run defense a lot, but again, how much are they going to be able to keep? They signed a lot of these guys to big contracts, and there's other guys from that 2018 and 2019 draft that got to get signed. So I don't really trust it at all. No more Byron Leftwich, no more Bruce Arians. Who's going to trust as the offensive coordinator? And the great Todd Bowles is the head coach. So
Todd Bowles.
Toddy Bowles.
So Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Toddy takes the ball.
Actually, I should take that back. He might be the worst coach ever.
I don't know. Josh McDaniels is a pretty good run for that right now.
Toddy takes a ball.
I don't know if.
Well, I'm going to have Jason Garrett over Todd Bowles.
Okay, that's not saying much.
Exactly.
Congratulations. You took Jason Garrett over Todd Bowles.
I moved them up one notch.
That's not saying much. That really is
exactly.
I moved them up a notch.
Yeah, there you go. Don't worry. Nothing could be worse than Urban Meyer, though. He's the ultimate loser when it comes to NFL head coaches. But Tampa Bay Buccaneers, worst team in that division, 4-13.
All right, I'm going to have to agree with Speedy on this one. Definitely Tampa Bay.
Baltimore's still available, too. They're good.
I would take that.
They're worrisome with sacks, though, because their edge rush isn't that good.
Well, they're estimated to have 41 sacks.
Hopefully, Ajabo could play a lot more in this.
You don't go Baltimore?
I like the Steelers or the Patriots more, but if you
Really?
think the Ravens can get some sacks, that's a big question with them because
They like the Steelers' defense.
their edge rushing has been a big problem for them since they lost Terrell Suggs and a lot of that core, and then they obviously lost Judon to the Patriots, and they really haven't been the same, getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
It's just hard for me to trust. Like, it's not
Miami's
bad.
still available.
Miami's interesting too because that with Vic Fangio there, that defensive line has been very good too, and definitely could warrant a lot of sacks as well.
Maybe I could still wait to pick defense.
I think you can too. I look to see if Mooney swings back. If not, you can go with another running back too. It doesn't hurt.
Another running back, another wide receiver.
There's a lot of rookie running backs that have a lot of good value at the end of that draft. I know John was mentioning some of them with the Colts.
Keandre Miller is still there.
Mhm.
Devin Singletary is still there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still there. I mean, there's a couple of them.
Yeah, Miller's interesting because could get a lot of reps early in the season with Kamara suspended too. So maybe he can get a good role with that team. Then he could even keep that role even when Kamara comes back too. At least keep some of it.
If he shuts his mouth.
Yeah. But there's a lot of good.
There's not many good running backs.
There's a lot of good rookie values that you could definitely see.
Like who? I think White.
No, he's not a rookie. He's a second year.
I know,
guy.
but I'm just naming players.
Is the kid Spears from Tennessee still there? Because he's the guy that's getting a lot of pass catching reps too. And then there's also Miami's kid Chain too.
Spears.
He might have been taken already. I don't know, but
he looks like he was.
Okay.
He was.
All right, he was.
There's not many good running backs still available.
I would grab KJ Miller then.
Yeah.
Unless Mooney's still there, and then maybe take Mooney. But
I might go Mooney.
Yeah, I think that's hard to pass up at this point. I think you'll wait on the defense.
And Mooney was just taken.
Okay.
You people really are you listening to the show?
Maybe they're doing.
Are you trying to piss me off?
But there's a delay. Like they're not going to be able to judge that.
Bastards, man.
Unless they're hacking the system somehow.
You guys are bad. I mean, Zay Jones is still available.
Oh, I love Zay Jones.
I like Zay Jones.
The Charger Slayer Zay Jones. Put some respect on his name. He is the spark.
Should I get
comeback.
Zay Jones?
Fantasy value wise, maybe it could have good value. It's tough to tell with Ridley.
Keandre or another
I think
tight end?
Kendre's better at this point because I think he has the best upside with still with Kamara.
Gerald Everett.
You want 2 tight ends and platoon? Okay, that's not bad either.
I mean, remember it's a 14-team league.
It's not a bad option either. Yeah.
Or maybe I just go defense. I'm gonna go defense. I need a defensive team, and Pittsburgh's gone, by the way.
Hey, Baltimore, they're there.
Baltimore's still there, and Miami's still there. Kansas City, Washington, Tampa, Cincinnati, Denver. Go ahead, Speedy. I'm sorry.
No, Speedy went.
So you.
Yeah. So
we going first or
no? We're going
worst
last.
to first.
Last.
Okay.
Worst team. So like I said, I had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 2-14. I mean, Baker Mayfield, I don't trust. They have no line. They have no run game. Their defense is old. Their line's old. And like Speedy said, you have Todd Bowles there as a head coach.
Todd.
So
2-14.
2-14 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Todd's Balls. That's
Todd's
what we're.
Balls. There you go.
Todd's Balls.
Carl's gonna give his fantasy advice. He thinks you should take Miami's defense.
Ooh.
Miami's defense. Interesting.
But like
maybe
I said,
he's right. Maybe I will do Miami's
Tampa Bay.
defense. That might be good.
2 wins for the Buccaneers.
2-13 or 2-14.
15.
2-15.
Sorry. 15.
Thank you, Carl. I might do that. I'm going to say Tampa. Tampa is the worst team. They don't even have a quarterback. They have Trask. I mean, this team is just horrible. And I believe Mike Evans is going to want out. I think Godwin's going to want out. They're not going to want to be there. This team is an absolute joke, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, it's my turn. So he says Miami. Go Miami.
Yeah, that's the Carl
Denver,
recommendation.
New England, New Orleans, Baltimore. Miami. I mean, Baltimore's higher rated than Miami.
Baltimore.
Miami's got more sack upside, though. I like Carl's pick.
They do. I'm going to go Miami.
There you go, Carl.
Oh, boy.
The fantasy gods of Carl.
I'm going Miami.
Was it? It's not turkey season.
That was a turkey.
It's not turkey season.
That was gobble, gobble, gobble. Anyways, I'm going to say Tampa is the worst team right now in the division. They're just not good, any good. They have good wide receivers. They have good running. They have a good running game. They really offensively, you would think they were good, but they have nobody throwing them the ball. And the defense, White wants out. I mean, I expect him to be traded one way or another at the trade deadline. This team is completely a debacle. And right now with Todd Bowles running that team, this team is going to be an absolute joke in the NFC. This could be the worst team in the NFC. You heard it from me. This could be the
from
worst
Daigle last week. He loved that
in the NFC.
He loved that value.
I would say they win 6-7 games this year. I don't think they're any of that good. I don't even think they're any of that good. They could win more games than anybody expects because they do have offensive players. They do have game-changing players in Godwin and obviously Evans.
No defense.
But when you have game-changing players, they can win it themselves.
They can't stop nobody.
Well, they're a good defense.
They're a good defense on paper.
Defense.
It's just one of those cases where they're going to be on the field a ton because their offense is not good.
I agree with you.
They're going to get tired out really badly.
Yeah,
and
so
like Errol's saying, they're going to trade. Winfield's got to get paid.
I would say, all right, I'm giving them 7 wins. I'll give them 5 or 6. I think they'll win 5 or 6 games. I think they'll be looking for a quarterback in next year's draft. I expect them to. They'll be drafting in the top 10 next year. So Tampa wins 5 or 6 games. They're the worst team in the division.
Caleb doesn't want to go to the Buccaneers when he doesn't want to go to the Cardinals.
I think so.
Why not? All right, so number 3.
DeAndre Miller is still there. If he falls to me in 2 spots, do I draft him?
Yes.
Oh, look at you, Speedy. You're so confident. Yes. Yes. Do you want to take a dump? Yes.
No, I don't want to take a dump.
I do.
Yes, Carl. Devin Tompkins did make the Buccaneers roster over our guy Cade Warner that was on the show.
That's your favorite thing to do?
Ago.
I do. Yes,
That
it's my
is it?
favorite thing.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. I mean, what is better than sitting on a bowl and going on your phone and just watching, YouTube channels and stuff like that?
YouTube channels.
Yeah, YouTube channels. I watch stupid things.
You
man.
watch porn?
Is porn on YouTube? If it
don't know.
was, I'd be paid for it. Jeez, I mean, porn would be good on YouTube.
I just had to ask. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
YouTube should do that. They should have a porn section. I mean, I know Carl will be watching it. That's for sure. Right,
All right,
Carl?
off the topic of porn. Yes, Carl, Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard, we talked about at the beginning of the show with the great performance against the number 9 ranked Clemson Tigers. And Duke moving up in the world in the ACC notion.
What's with you with these animal noises?
I guess he's trying to mimic whatever projected.
Mimic. I like that word. I like the mimic.
Projected team we're going to be talking about next.
All right, Speedy, go ahead.
Carl is like, what did the Beef just say? Yeah, I don't want to repeat that. Number 3 for me, I got the Atlanta Falcons. I think they did improve in this offseason. It's just a lot of new defensive players all at once coming to them. They got a couple good edge rushers, too. They bring in Bud Dupree, who's been a good veteran with the Steelers and the Titans. They bring in David Onyemata at defensive tackle. Jesse Bates, one of the best safeties in the league. The problem is they don't have a lot with the key positions. Kind of like I was mentioning to you with the Ravens. The Falcons lack some edge rushing. They have some young guys, but again, they don't really have a true number 1 pass rusher. And outside of A.J. Terrell, can they find a number 2 in depth corner beyond that? Offensively, we know they're going to run the ball a ton. They got Bijan, they got Algier, and they got Cordero Patterson. Kyle Pitts, hopefully he gets targeted more. Falcons sneakily did have one of the best offensive lines, though, in football. Where are they going to get the passing attack from? And that you need that in today's NFL. I think they're going to have a creative offense, but I do think teams will catch up to it in the second half of the season. So I'm going to say the Falcons are 3rd place. I'm going to say 8 and 9.
Yeah, I'm going with the Falcons too in 3rd place. Like I said,
Luke Musgrave's still available.
I like him.
There you go.
Should I get Musgrave?
Mm-hmm.
Should I draft him?
Yeah, I think he's a nice
over
target.
Everett?
Depends on if you want upside or consistency. It's your call.
What do you mean upside or consistency?
Because Everett's old. Everett's old. If you just want a steady guy, but Musgrave could be a really good, high upside guy. He could be potentially the 2nd target on that team if he plays well.
Well, that doesn't help me. Thank you very much.
Well, like I said, Atlanta's going to be in 3rd place.
There's Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Also not bad.
He's still available. DJ Chark.
Not bad.
Jaden Reed.
That's another one of Daigle's guys if you want to bank on upside too.
Jaden Reed. You like Jaden Reed?
Yes, that was one of his other guys too. It was Mims and then Jaden Reed were his 2 wide receivers.
And they drafted for me, you little punks. Damn you, Speedy. I'm sorry. They drafted anyways, Gerald Everett. So okay. I'm not mad at it. I would have picked him too. So
I can't wait for your team to be carried by Gerald Everett and Deontay Johnson.
I've been just absolutely in shambles here. I don't know, 2 more bench spots.
Oh, wait a minute, Carl. Gerald Everett does not play for the Rams anymore. He plays for the Chargers. Come on, Carl.
Man. I'm not very happy about this. I am not. I'm just letting everybody know this. Anyways.
14-team league. You'll be fine.
No, I do have a good team.
Yes.
I do. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to brag, but from where I'm drafting, we'll mention it. But go ahead. Who do you have?
I have Atlanta 8 and 9 Beavers up.
Yeah, I was agreeing with Speedy that I have Atlanta in 3rd place. I mean, the defense is a little bit better, but they don't have a quarterback, and they really don't have anyone to throw the ball to. They all got to run the ball a lot, like Speedy said, but it's really not going to help them win a lot of games. So I'm going with Atlanta in 3rd place.
I'm going Carolina in 3rd place. I don't trust right now with a rookie quarterback. I think in the position that they are in this year, I think Bryce Young will be a good quarterback. The question is this offensive line going to be able to protect him? He is small. He is not a big guy. He could get hurt this year. And the defense is very well built, and this is the strength of the team. Is the defense going to be enough if the offense can't put enough on the board? That's the question. I don't know if they can. I like Atlanta, and that's why I'm going to move on with Atlanta. I'm not going to tell you where I think they're going to be, but I think Atlanta could be a lot better than people think they can. I question Carolina's the offensive side of the ball and the quarterback play. So if Bryce Young proves me wrong, then I will shut and zipper my mouth. But I don't know what he is going to do and how much points he's going to put up this year, and especially losing DJ Moore in that trade to land him. They don't have a number 1 target really, and that's going to be a big problem. Don't tell me Adam Thielen, because he is not the guy. So I am going to go Carolina. Carolina will win 8 games this year, no more than 9. So Carolina is my second to worst team in the division.
Yep, I'm going to go Carolina second with 9 wins, 9-8 this year. I think they're going to be kind of a slow starting team. A lot of new coaches all at once. Good coaches. Frank Reich as the head coach. Like I said, Ivero coming from Broncos as defensive coordinator. I think that'll help them a lot. Their edge rushing has been very good. And their secondary, very underrated for the Panthers, too. They just got to stay healthy with guys like Chin, guys like J.C. Horn have just got to stay healthy. We'll see on C.J. Henderson. But offensively, you're right. They lack the skill position players to get him going on a faster rate. I love Bryce Young as a talent. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback in this league. It's going to be hard for running backs and wide receivers coming over from other teams to learn that new system right away. And we saw last year, older receivers really have trouble in today's game. And Adam Thielen was one of them that was really just more of a touchdown guy last year. Charks had some injury issues. Jonathan Mingo, a rookie to watch out for. I think he could emerge as a potential top target for them at one point. But again, they still have a lot of question marks. But their offensive line, their defense will keep them afloat. So I still have them second in the division. I think they're right on the outside of the playoff teams in the NFC. 9-8 for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I got the Carolina Panthers finishing second. I mean, like you said, Bryce Young's going to get off to a slow start, but I think he's going to be a very, very good quarterback in the NFL. And like Speedy was saying, they don't have anyone to throw the ball to. And, there's really don't have a run game. So outside of that, there's really nothing that Bryce Young can do. I mean, I probably have them going 7-10. Finishing second place.
I have Atlanta in second place. I think they could be a borderline playoff team. This offense is going to be fun to watch. Robinson's going to be fun. Patterson is still there. They have Pitts. They have Drake. This is an explosive team, and they're going to be able to run the ball. And their defense, they added, obviously, Jesse Bates, who is a great defender, one of the better secondary players in all of football. He will help out a very weak secondary from last year, and a defense that I think is going to be a lot better. I think they're going to be able to put pressure. The question is Desmond Ridder the guy? And that's going to be the question that they and him can only answer. I do believe that Desmond Ridder is a lot better than people think he's going to be. He's going to be a run and throw quarterback. He will be able to use his legs. The question is his size going to matter in the NFL? That's the question. He's so thin and he can get hurt very, very quickly. And there's no more Marcus Mariota there. He's backing up right now Jalen Hurts. So I think this team's better offensively than people think. I think they're going to put up numbers. I think they're going to put up, scores. I think they'll be able to compete against some of the worst teams in this conference. So give me Atlanta. I think they win 10 games this year.
All right, and the number one for me, I got the Saints winning the division this year, even without Alvin Kamara for the first 3 games. I think they could win 2 of those games. They could beat the Packers. They could beat the Titans. I think Carolina would be the tough one that they might lose, but I think they'll be just fine. Their offensive line is getting healthier from where they were last year. They had their first-round pick, Trevor Penning, was hurt a lot of the year last year. Eric McCoy, the center, who got a big contract, was also hurt. And I think when you look at the second year of this coaching staff, too, I think they'll be able to transition a little bit better, too. Now, their defense did lose a couple pieces. Marcus Davenport goes to the Vikings. A couple of their veteran defensive backs either retired or went elsewhere too. So can they get that second pass rusher next to Cameron Jordan will be a big question, but they still got Demario Davis there. Pete Warner, Ohio State guy that was quietly one of the best young linebackers. And they've drafted a lot of good DBs recently too. So I think the Saints will be just fine even with Kamara there. Derek Carr obviously coming over. I think the Saints win the division at 10-7.
Yeah, I obviously got the Saints winning the division. I have them winning 11 games.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see. I'm interested to see what Derek Carr is going to do over there. I mean, they have a good offense, especially when Kamara comes back. And the only thing that worries me with the Saints is their defense. I don't trust them right now. But I do have them winning 11 games.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at
What's
this.
the dilemma now?
Oh my God. I mean, Jaden Reed is not there anymore. He was drafted, so I can't get Jaden Reed. So I'm sitting here. I'm 5 picks away from picking. I hate picking where I am. It makes me sick to my stomach.
And if John Daigle's gem running backs left, he had Evan Hull for the Colts, Ty Chandler for the Vikings.
Evan Hall. Let me see. Running backs. Evan Hall.
Those were his 2 guys, Evan Hull and Ty Chandler.
Hold or Hall?
Hull. Hull. Evan Hull.
I don't see him.
He might have gotten drafted too. Again, there's a lot of run of those similar level rookie running backs. And again,
okay, Evan Hall.
Yep.
Okay, who else?
Ty Chandler for the Vikings was his other guy that he said was a late sleeper.
Late sleeper in this league. It's
really
late.
Yeah, for the Vikings. Carl says Deontay Foreman for the Bears. He will probably be gone now by anyway. Yeah, I always liked Foreman. I thought he was going to be good with the Texans too, but he had a lot of injury issues, and now he's older. He had some flash games for the Panthers last year.
Yeah, none of those guys are available.
That sucks.
It does suck. I suck, okay? I suck! All right, go ahead. Where we at here?
You for the
first place.
Come on. It's the Saints. It's not even a question. There's no arguments here. We expect the Saints. I mean, Derek Carr, the weapons that he has, Olave, they're going to be able to run the ball when Alvin Kamara comes back. This offensive line's a veteran offensive line that can put up numbers, and this defense is as good as any defense in football. You forget that this defense was one of the sack-leading defenses 2 years ago, and they have practically the same team coming back. So I really like the Saints. I think they win about 11 or 12 games this year. All right, so running backs, I have 30 seconds left. Deontay Foreman.
That's Carl's guy.
Should I draft him?
It's not bad value this late.
I'm going to draft him.
There you go,
Carl. I'm going to take you.
There you go, Carl.
I'm going to take you, and if I win, I'm going to tell Mikey C to kiss my rear end.
Oh, Mikey C's getting plowed first.
Oh, that's right.
You might not have one.
With some Oreo cookies. Oh.
Yes, we know you love the Oreo cookies. Carl.
Well, he likes to jam them up there, not me.
You got the cream too?
Yes. Hunter Renfro's still available. I think he has a good year this year with Jimmy Garoppolo. With Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, we'll see if Josh McDaniels ruined somebody, because I was high on Renfro last year. And
Alec Pierce is there, too.
I like him, too.
I mean, those two guys are still available. I could get either one of them. I think one of them are going to fall to me. Allen Robinson's still there, too.
Carl approves. Let's go, Errol. Foreman from the Bears.
There we go.
On the board.
Here's the hands, baby.
No,
Here's the hands.
Man.
I'm sorry. All right. NFC West, before we get our two very special guests.
I think we're all in consensus here. The Cardinals will be last place. They're trying to actively tank and trade everybody. So I'll give the Cardinals one win and give them actively tanking. Now, who will the one win be against? That is an interesting question.
The Rams are right there with them. So.
Maybe they'll beat the Rams. Yeah, maybe that'll be their one win. Maybe they'll beat the Rams. They'll beat the Rams, and that's it. One win for the Cardinals.
One win for the
Cardinals. And they can enjoy Caleb Williams not wanting to go there. And Jonathan Gannon being fired just as early as Urban Meyer.
Yeah. It's going to be a toss-up between
Scanlon's still there, too.
Yeah.
Scanlon's there, too.
Yeah, he's like one of those, like, random, all right, he'll get 30 points a week and then disappear for a month type receiver. So if you can find the right week, find the right week, it's
my last pick.
Why is this draft going so long?
Because these guys are pains in the asses. Mikey C takes forever, you little bonehead.
Our draft was over in 45 minutes.
No, there's 14 teams.
Yeah, but how long is the picks?
Long. They go a minute. All of them.
2 minutes?
They go a minute, man. I don't know.
It should be for like 30 seconds.
Well, you tell them that. I didn't tell them to do that.
It's ridiculous.
My backup running backs are okay. I have Elijah Mitchell and Foreman now as my backups.
We had a minute to pick. That was it.
They have two flexes in this league.
Oh.
Two flexes. Little bastards. These little guys. I swear I'm going to torch them this year. You heard it. You heard it now, ladies and gentlemen. Mikey C's picking again. What the hell? And he drafted Hunter Renfro. That little punk ass, man. Alec Pierce. That's where I'm going. If he's still sitting there. I think he's the second target for them.
Yeah, he should be when he's healthy.
All right,
Carl, I don't have sauce.
All right, who do you got for the
fight? I have Arizona in last place. I mean, they have nothing there. I don't trust Kyler Murray. Guy can't stay healthy. This team is just garbage. Garbage.
Let's see. What could I say bad about this team?
Garbage. Get the dump truck.
They're obviously trying to lose. Kyler Murray will not be back this year. If I wouldn't even be surprised if he's playing professional baseball after this year. They're going to be looking for Alec Pierce is there. Do I draft him?
Yes.
Not Scantling.
I would rather go Pierce.
Hold on, running backs. They're still Roscoe Johnson.
Oh, also not bad for Chicago too. He's their rookie.
What are you even talking about? I just drafted a guy from Chicago.
Hey,
he's the number one guy, right? Foreman?
No, Herbert's the number one guy. He's not.
But Foreman's the second.
Foreman's another guy. So yeah, if you don't want to go to the same team, what else is there for the running back?
Zamir White.
Yeah, I liked him last year.
Sean Tucker.
Use him. Yeah. No.
Kieran Williams.
Yeah.
Ingram. Leonard Fournette.
He wasn't signed anywhere.
Kareem Hunt.
I think you're better off. Yeah, I think you're better off with Pierce. You could when any of those guys sign for a team. We'll see where they go. But
I drafted Pierce.
Yeah, I don't think you're. I think you're just gonna speculate.
All right, so your draft is done.
My draft is done. Devontae Parker's still available.
Oh yeah,
I didn't want him.
The old man, Devontae Parker.
I didn't want him. I drafted one defense, ladies and gentlemen. One defense.
That's all you need.
That's all I'm doing.
Until you buy me.
Everybody else took two defenses.
Stupid.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not doing it.
All right. Who's third, Speedy?
The Rams. The Rams are third, 6-11. I'm going to put them at. I think their offense, if Cooper Kupp would stay healthy, will still be able to throw the ball a lot, but their offensive line is not good, and that's a big problem for the Rams. McVay is going to help them. Their schedule is tough, and that's going to make it harder for them to get going there. They're going to compete in games. I don't think they're going to be like last year where they're going to completely fold, but I think it's still going to be very hard with a lot of defensive players lost, a lot of young guys all at once.
Well, what was their record last year?
They were 5-12 last year, which is the worst record for a Super Bowl champion, defending Super Bowl champion. And that's going to make it hard, but I do think they'll compete a little more this year. I think they're going to be a fast starting team, but I think eventually they're going to trade some guys too. And I think it just with a lot of new coaches all at once, it's going to be hard for them. So I'm going to say Rams third place, 6-11.
6-11. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to have them in third place too, but I'm only going to have them winning 4 games this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Rams are horrible.
They're going to be they're the second worst team in the league.
They have no offensive line to protect
Nope.
Matthew Stafford.
Nope.
They didn't add anything.
Nope.
They have no draft stock, nothing, because they decided to make a move for Jalen Ramsey and Matthew Stafford. So good for them.
They gave
winning one
everything
Super
away.
Bowl.
Everything away.
For one Super Bowl.
Yep.
I think Cooper Kupp being out a significant amount of time doesn't help them.
Nope.
I think he'll demand a trade one way or another, or they decide to trade him to try to get something back for somebody.
I would.
I mean, what did they get back from Jalen Ramsey? A third or fourth round draft pick?
Which
just
really
after giving up 2 first-round draft picks and a third for him or something like that.
That management's horrible.
It's just they did it to win a Super Bowl. I look at the LA Rams, by the way, who we've heard Matthew Stafford is not happy playing with the youngsters. He might demand a trade if somebody gets hurt sometime this year.
So you trade him and you trade Kupp.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I think
rebuild.
I don't think they win more than 4 or 5 games. The Rams are the second worst team in the NFC West moving forward this year.
Yes.
Horrible team this year. And Sean McVay decides to step down this year.
Oh, all right.
I agree with that.
All right, so here comes the first big surprise. I am going to take the 49ers second in the division this year. I'm not sure how the quarterback situation is going to come back with Brock Purdy. I think it's going to take them a little while to get going. I think they're rushing him back, and I think it's going to be a big mistake for them. Deebo Samuel just coming off an injury, too. How good is he going to be right away? And the big thing that no one's talking about is the offensive line lost a lot of pieces this offseason as well. Trent Williams is still there. Obviously, he's been the best tackle in football for quite a while, but they don't have a lot with McGlinchey on the other side, goes to Denver. A lot of their veteran guards are gone now, too. So I'm not as high on this 49ers overall offense this year. I think Kittle will have to do more blocking as a result. Juszczyk, and secondary-wise, can they get those guys back healthy on the defensive side of the ball? And they had 3 corners hurt last year. How will they come back, too, will be another question for them, too. And, again, if Brock Purdy doesn't play well, they get to go to Sam Darnold, and it creates a bad culture for this team. So I'm going to say the 49ers. They still make the playoffs, obviously, but I'm going to say them as the second-place team, 11-6.
All right, you guys want to know my team? You want me to give you guys my team? It's over. The draft is over. Aaron Rodgers, Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, Austin Eckler, Travis Etienne, Sam Laporta, DJ Moore, Antonio Gibson, Russell Wilson, Elijah Mitchell, Marvin Mims Jr., Gerald Everett, Deontay Foreman, Alec Pierce, and the Miami defense.
Not bad.
All righty.
For a 14-team league, not bad at all.
That's a pretty good team, man.
Yeah.
I think I'll be able to compete. There's no
You
question.
should.
I should be able to compete.
100%.
Just, we'll see how everything falls. My bench is okay.
Yeah.
I question my bench.
But in the 14-league team, you're always going to have a crappy bench.
Yeah. I mean, I have some bargains. I mean, Marvin Mims could turn out to be a good player.
He could be.
Yeah, he could. And Deontay Foreman could win the starting job. He could win the starting running back job one way or another. He's expected to have over 750 rushing yards this year and 5.1 touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty good to get him in. And then the 14th round? I mean, that's a pretty good steal. Right. And Alec Pierce too, who is another guy that some people, if he plays this year, think that he could have 4 or 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns.
Big body guy, definitely.
Yeah, and we'll see what Richardson does with the weapons that he has around him. So.
And Pittman's already hurt too, so he might even get some early targets as well. And if he does that, like I was saying with Kendre Miller, maybe they keep him in that kind of role.
I'm not starting him. He's just a guy.
I didn't say to start him. I'm just saying monitor it, because if he keeps getting it consistently, he might be a steady target guy.
I mean, if you look at it, I'm going. My starters in the first week are Aaron Rodgers, Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, Austin Eckler, Travis Etienne, Sam Laporta, DJ Moore, and Antonio Gibson. And my defense is Miami. That's going to be my starting rotation. I am so angry about Deontay Johnson. I'm not happy with that.
You got a good team. Don't worry.
I do.
I think a lot of people could take Deontay Johnson as a third wide receiver and be fine with it. You just drafted him flip-flop with DJ Moore. Just think of it that way.
Yeah. By the way, thank you, Mike. And keep listening to us. But let's go. Where we at?
So I said the 49ers second.
So I have the 49ers first. I mean, I know you don't.
Well, you got to go second. Who do you have second?
Oh, second?
Yes.
Then it's the Seahawks.
Okay.
So, because you don't know who their starting quarterback's going to be. I mean, the defense is still
Geno
good.
Smith.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
You don't know what? He was an MVP candidate last year.
Yeah,
Top
no,
8.
I don't know if he's going to last the whole season.
Their offensive line is pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, their offensive line is
really good.
I mean, their offensive line is good. I like
their defense is good too.
I like their receivers, but they're going to finish in second place because I just don't trust the quarterback situation.
It's really the schedule and how it falls.
Well, that too.
I think Seattle is the second best team in the division. I don't know if I would pick them over San Francisco. I don't trust Brock Purdy. And if Brock Purdy gets hurt, who's their backup quarterback? Sam Darnold. I would have trusted Sam Darnold of Brock Purdy, being that Brock Purdy coming off a UCL tear. Starting the season with his throwing arm, it definitely has to worry you, especially if he's franchise quarterback. You obviously give Nick Bosa that type of money. You expect him to show up. Hargrave's got a lot of money in the offseason coming from Philadelphia. The questions really lie with Seattle right now is with the weapons. And are the weapons, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and even the kid that they drafted,
Najigba,
who a lot of people
I like their offensive line. I mean, their offensive weapons.
And he comes from Ohio State, Najigba. And Ohio State wide receivers are very good. They have been proven to be really, really good.
They are.
Ask Garrett Wilson and Olave.
And you still got a great coach over there.
Yes, and McLaurin and all of them. I mean, if you go up and down the roster, they're always known for their wide receivers. So I expect Najigba to be a good player.
I just don't trust.
It's going to take a couple of years.
I just don't trust Geno Smith.
I do.
I don't trust.
Seattle wins 10 games, 11 games. They make the playoffs.
Yeah, they make the playoffs.
In a weak conference.
I just don't. I don't trust Geno Smith.
I like everything about them. And by the way, I don't want to see Adams play this year. That big mouth idiot. Okay.
Oh, don't worry, he'll be back.
He will be back this year. He won't be back in the first week, but he'll probably be back the second or third week. But I'm looking forward to watching him get his face beaten in.
That's your best friend.
So, yeah,
don't talk about your friend like that.
I can't. Thank you for giving us Garrett Wilson, by the way. Thank you.
Oh, don't worry. Just wait for the our Super Bowl pick with Anthony Wright that he said he had the Jets of the AFC. I recommended the Seahawks to him.
Thank you giving us Elijah Vera
just
Tucker
for the Jamal Adams and Geno Smith revenge game. Anyways, I got the Seahawks winning the division. And because I think one thing, the 49ers are going to start off slow because of this whole quarterback controversy. And I think, like you were saying with Nick Bosa, too, it's going to take him a little while in that defense to get a while. Seattle got some really good defensive players in this offseason. They brought back Bobby Wagner. They signed Devin Bush from the Steelers. They brought in Julian Love from the Giants, who had a very good year for the Giants last year. Draymond Jones, Jaron Reed. That was the biggest weakness for Seattle last year. They could stop the pass. Their secondary was great, but they could not stop the run. And I think they really bolstered that well. Like you were saying, the offensive line was really good for Seattle last year, and they're only going to get better. You have two second-year tackles, a third-year guard, Damian Lewis, that's played very well, and now bringing in Najigba too. You have three really good wide receivers. So the Seahawks have the capabilities to play like the Vikings and the Bengals and offenses like that can play those three receiver type sets. It's not just going to be just a running type team like you saw in years past too. And I love the coaching with Pete Carroll too, and those systems are really going to work there too. And Geno Smith, he proved himself last year. Give me Seattle 12-5, winning the division, number 2 overall seed in the NFC.
Yeah, well, I got the 49ers winning the division. I mean, Purdy might start off. I don't trust Purdy, but I trust the defense of the 49ers. That defense is really good, and I don't know who's going to stop that defense.
Yeah, my number 1 team is San Francisco. Okay, I'm not
13 wins probably.
I'm not trusting Purdy. I don't
trust him.
I don't trust him. I listen.
You still got Sam Darnold there, and with that team, he could be good.
And we've seen quarterbacks come off the bench like Brock Purdy and just show up and put up numbers. So, and in a Kyle Shanahan type of offense, it could absolutely work. I just don't know if I trust it, and I don't know if I believe it. I do believe they're the number 1 team in that division because of their defense. I think Bosa and Hargrave adding to that defensive line is only going to make them even massively better. And they have what it takes to win a championship with the defense that sound. The question is offensively, is George Kittle going to stay healthy? Is McCaffrey going to stay healthy? Is Deebo Samuel going to stay healthy? This is a team that's been fighting injury every single year. And Purdy do you trust that Purdy is the guy?
No, I don't
trust
him.
Is he the franchise?
No, but with that offensive line and the run game and all the weapons that he has.
I think they don't win more than 11, 12 games.
12, 13 games.
I don't even think they win 13. I don't know if I trust Brock Purdy against better teams and more talented. Look at Brock Purdy's record last year against 500 teams. He was 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
2-1. So, and he played, and that was at the end of the season when some of those teams weren't even starting their starters. So, in the playoffs, he beat one team. He beat Seattle, and then he lost against who?
Oh, then they beat Dallas.
Yes,
They lost
but
against
I don't count that. I don't count that win.
You don't want to bring it up for the beef?
I don't count that
No,
win.
they got Dallas got screwed out of that game.
Oh, really? You're going to blame the refs
Well, Brock
again?
Purdy didn't play in that game. Did he?
Yeah,
Yes, he did.
He got hurt the next week.
He got hurt the next week. He played in that
All right. I got it.
Don't bring back those memories.
Oh, the Dallas Cowboys already rehearsing their final play of the season when they lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Brock Purdy
How are they
got
going to
hurt.
embarrass themselves even
Brock
more?
Purdy got hurt in the first quarter against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
That's right. Yes.
What kind of great play design will Mike McCarthy have for the end of the season with the Cowboys losing in the playoffs?
He didn't
to
call that
the
play.
Seattle Seahawks.
He didn't call that play last year.
Oh, so that's how Kellen Moore went on the way out?
Yes.
So Kellen Moore now gets to go to the Chargers, who blew a 27-0 lead in the playoffs.
Yes.
Our great Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes. There you go.
Mm-hmm. So
we're still waiting for Wes. So
we're still waiting for Wes. You want to do the AFC?
Yep, we'll do some of the AFC, I guess, and we'll see when Wes comes in.
All right.
What do you want to go first? AFC West?
All right. You know, and who do we have on right now?
Derek is in. We're just
Derek's
waiting
in?
on Wes. Yep.
Derek, what's up, bud?
What's up, guys?
Yeah, we haven't seen you in a while.
I know. How's it been?
You look good, man. You look like you lost a lot of weight.
No way.
You do. All I see is a neck and a head, okay, man?
Right.
I mean, with just you could tell your girlfriend, all you have to do is, if you want me to lose some weight, just look at my neck and my head, you know? I don't know if that sounds right.
That doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right. I mean, what neck and head are you talking about, baby? I'm just kidding. Anyways, Derek, since you're the only one in right now, we're waiting for Wes. Why don't you help us out? We're right now predicting records we just went through the NFC. Now we're going to the AFC. We're going to go AFC East first. And we'd like to know where you rank these teams and where they're going to end up. So before Wes just came in, so let's do this with you first. AFC East, where do you have these teams? Where do they end up?
And this is a hard one. This could be the best division in football. I feel comfortable putting the Patriots last, even though I think Belichick probably gets them to 8 wins because that's what he does. But their schedule is pretty brutal, even for coming. What were they in third place in the AFC East last year? Like a third place schedule, it's still a ridiculous gauntlet. I feel pretty good about them fourth, and then the top 3 you could really sort it anyway. I really wouldn't argue with you, but I'm gonna go Jets third because that O-line scares me. The pass catchers with Corey Davis retiring outside Garrett Wilson are just not good enough unless they make. You know, you've seen the Devontae Adams splash at the deadline. Maybe that happens if the Raiders fall apart. I wouldn't necessarily want to rely on that if I was a Jets fan, but I do not like their pass catchers outside Wilson. So I'm going to put them third. I'm going to put the Dolphins second, even though I think they're more talented than the Bills. I think they're pretty frail. Like Tua gets hurt a lot. You already have Jalen Ramsey down. O-line is not very good. If Tyreek or Waddle were to go down, they kind of lose their superpower on offense. So even though I love the Dolphins, I'm still going to put them second. And I'm just going to keep the Bills first. They have Josh Allen. I do think they upgraded marginally in some spots, like a pass catcher. I think their D-line and Von Miller's good to go. I know he's on the PUP list to start the year. But if he's good to go by November, December, I think – and their D-line was where they were at the beginning of last year and hit the ground running there, they're really, really dangerous. And I think people are kind of overlooking the Bills a little bit. They had the DeMar Hamlin episode to kind of end the year last year. I think they were just like emotionally drained, but I'm still a big believer in them. So I will go Bills number 1.
Okay.
All right, Speedy, you go straight up and down.
All right, so I agree with Derek. I got the Patriots last again. I know they got Bill O'Brien to help out that offense a little more, but like you were saying before, Juju Smith-Schuster, nothing you could trust with that knee. And there's like Kendrick Bourne's the only other receiver I trust on that team. I know Jeff likes some of the other ones. I really don't. Their offensive line's better, but not much you could trust beyond that. Their defense is good. I think, like Derek's saying, I think Bill Belichick will coach them to like 8 and 9, but I'm going to go with them only with that much upside. I'm going to say 8 and 9 for the Patriots.
Go up and down. Go up and down.
Third place, I got the Miami Dolphins. I was higher on them during the offseason process, but their injuries are concerning. No Jalen Ramsey for probably 6 games or so. I think that's going to hurt their secondary. Fangio will help it a little bit, but I do think it's going to hurt them against the rest of the teams in this division. Offensive line, no Teron Armstead for a while too. That could hurt them. And their running game, are they going to emerge as a question mark? Is going to be another thing. So I got the Dolphins third. Give me the Jets second, 11-6. Definitely some offensive line concerns with them. And like Derek was saying, where's that second receiver going to emerge? I think it'll be Alan Lazard, but I think the rest of the team is really set beyond that. They got a good running game. They got a great defense, tons of pass rush depth. If they stay healthy, it's tough to go wrong with the Jets. The only thing concerning is the offensive line. So give me the Jets 11-6. And like Derek said, Buffalo 12-5 winning the division. I'm actually less worried about them losing Leslie Frazier as you are, Errol. I know. I think Sean McDermott's scheme is very
Von Miller
similar.
might be out for 3 or 4 games.
Von Miller getting hurt at the beginning of the season is better than him getting hurt at the end of the season. Though.
But that could set him back. That could set him back. But go ahead, Speedy.
I was going to say they also improved. I think they also improved in other areas of their young players will get a bigger role in their defense too. I think they losing Tremaine Edmonds will hurt, but I think they drafted a couple good linebackers the last 2 years that'll help to get them combined value. And I do think those young DBs will emerge a little better. And offensively, I think James Cook does take a big step this year. I know John Daigle, that was another guy he was very high on for fantasy. Kincaid is another good weapon for them. I think he's kind of like what the Giants will do with Darren Waller, that big-bodied weapon. I think their offensive line got better too. So give me Buffalo 12-5. Like Derek was saying, they're flying under the radar this year, which I actually think helps them because they were too hyped last year.
Go ahead.
All right. I got the Dolphins finishing in last place. I mean, they don't have a quarterback. I don't trust Tua. He can't stay healthy. Gets a lot of concussions. I mean, their defense is good, but I don't trust Miami whatsoever. They got the Patriots finishing second. I mean, Belichick will get them to probably 8 or 9 wins. I mean, they added Ezekiel Elliott. He'll be an average running back. He'll help with Stevenson there. And the Patriots defense will be playing really well like they usually do. So, with the Patriots third, put the Bills second. I mean, I don't, like I said, Von Miller's hurt, so that could set them back. And Allen and Diggs, they have problems in Buffalo, even though they say they don't. And I think there's a lot of issues with those two right now. So I'm going to put the Bills at second. I'm going to put the Jets at first.
What do you have the Jets record?
Jets record and 13 wins.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I got New England as my worst team. I think New England's going to win 8 or 9 games this year. I think they're going to still be a good team. They're good defensively. They have weapons. I still think they have a good running game. They'll be one of the better running teams in the NFL, and they can get at the quarterback. They can get them on both sides of the ball. So I think it's going to help Mac Jones that O'Brien is there. So I think he'll have a better season than he did last year. I think New England will be looking for a quarterback at the end of the season, but I believe Mac Jones will put up better numbers, and I think he'll keep his team in the game because of the defense. So, and I think they'll be able to run the ball. So I have the Patriots winning about 8 games this year. They will be the final team they'll be the last team right now in the AFC East. Second, Miami. I think Miami's going to be explosive. They're going to be fun. They're going to win 10 games this year. This defense is a lot more explosive, like Carl said, than people think. Fangio is definitely going to help them out. This offensive line, there's a lot of questions to it, especially going into OTAs. And, obviously what they did last year, they overachieved. I think they're going to underachieve this year. Tua needs to stay healthy. If Tua stays healthy this year with Tyreek Hill and Waddle, even though Waddle right now is not 100% healthy, has ankle problems going into the season, but he always has ankle problems. He's never 100% healthy, but they're going to be able to put numbers. They'll be able to run the ball this year. I believe they'll get maybe, and I'm gonna predict this. This is where I think Mr. Indianapolis Colt will go, and you know who I'm talking about, Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, I think, will go there. I think he will add and be a huge addition to them, I think, before the trade deadline. So give me Miami. I think they win 10 games. They could be a borderline wild card team. Number 2, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Jet fan, I think Buffalo. I don't know what I expect with Buffalo this year. Josh Allen, I think they lost a lot of weapons in the offseason. Their defense, their offensive line is getting old. They were not good last year. I don't think they're going to be any good this year. What did they do in the offseason to help that offensive line? And then their running game. They added Harris. How good is Damian Harris from what they had over there in Cook? So I don't know what they think that this running game is going to do. Josh Allen runs the ball any more than he did last year, they're going to have a lot of problems because if he gets hurt, the season is over. And Leslie Frazier is a big loss. a huge loss. A defensive guy, probably one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, losing him in the offseason definitely hurts. And maybe there was something going on in the locker room that nobody even knows because he walked away. He wasn't sick. He wasn't not healthy. So there's got to be something going on over there. And losing Von Miller for three games is a huge loss off the PUP list. So he can't play until week 5, week 4. So it's a huge loss. You play the Jets in week 1 on Monday Night Football in New York. You could fall 0-2 as early as the first 2 or 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I think Buffalo's going to have a lot of problems this year, especially keeping up with Miami and possibly the Jets. And at number 1, I would say the Jets. I don't know what the Jets are yet offensively. So all the Jet fans need to cool off on this Aaron Rodgers thing. I love Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is fantastic. The question is, are these weapons around him going to put up the numbers that everybody expects? Is Alan Lazard really as good as everybody thinks he's going to be after paying him $14 million in the offseason? Hardman took $7 million. He came here. I think they have weapons. I like Gibson. I think he's a good young player that the Jets have. Brownlee could be a really raw player. If you're drafting somebody, you want to find somebody in the draft, if in a 14-man league, Brownlee, Gibson, 2 guys that can absolutely put up numbers this year for the Jets and fill in for the Jets. And Garrett Wilson, I think, is going to have an explosive year. 14 touchdowns, 1,400 yards for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers will throw 36, 37 touchdowns this year and put up over 4,000 yards. I think this offense and this defense can hold up. I don't know about the offensive line, the woes that you said, because what I've heard about the offensive line ever since Brown came back and what Mekhi Becton has done in the last 2 weeks of training camp, it says a lot about this team and what this offensive line could be. Give me the Jets. They win 12 games this year, and I think the Jets are the team that's going to come out of the AFC East as the number 1 seed.
All right, before we get to Let's Parlay, actually, I'm going to bring Wes in. Wes says he has a surprise for the AFC East.
I'm listening to you guys, and I'm not discounting anything anyone's saying, but I have an opinion of my own.
Go ahead.
So you want me to start from the bottom or the top?
Go ahead. Go from the bottom to the top.
I got Miami on the bottom, and I got them winning 6 or 7 games. Then this one's a coin flip because I have the Jets and the Bills somewhat about the same. I think the Jets are going to be a 500 team. So wherever that falls, second or third, I got the Patriots winning 10 or 11 games this year. I think when you look at the landscape of the league and the moves that everybody's making, the Patriots aren't making any big moves. Their defense is strong, and that's going to keep them in a lot of the games. When you look at this division and how they have to play each other twice, Buffalo's O-line, Errol, you were talking about it. The Jets O-line, all you got to do is watch an episode of Hard Knocks, and nobody's in sync with Aaron Rodgers, and they will allow sacks. So, you start to break that down. And Tua, if he makes it, he might not even make it through the season. So you get the best coach in the division with what I believe is the best or second best defense in the division. Errol, you called it out. Mac is only going to get better with Billy O over there, and the Patriots are masters of coming up with these random contributing players that we don't even know their names right now, but we're going to see 4 or 5 Pro Bowlers on the defensive side. And I like the Patriots with a shot to win that division. I think that this is a 10 or an 11 win Patriot team that nobody is talking about.
All right.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I like it. I like it about you guys. If you guys want to stay on, we're going to finish after Let's Parlay. You guys can help us out with the AFC. I know we'll get into Kansas City, so I know you have your own thoughts about the Kansas City.
Back to back, Wes is thinking. He's planning the parade now.
I think he's out of his mind, but that's just me.
I'm not thinking that this year. I'm thinking that, I don't know why my homeboy left money on the table for this guy that doesn't want to take it.
All right. Are you guys ready? All right. We call this segment Let's Parlay.
Parlay, ole, ole, ole. It's time for Let's Parlay.
All right, we have Wessie Wes, a.k.a. Worldwide Wes, and Derek, a.k.a. Mountaineer, the Mountain Man, the Mountain Builder, and the guy that looks like he's lost a little bit of weight. He claims he didn't, but I beg to differ on that. watching and looking at his neck and his head, it would tell me he lost weight, but that's just me. Anyways, Wes, we're going to do this. You're going to have your 4 picks. Derek, you're going to go one at a time. Wes, you go first. Derek, you go second. You go back and forth until you get your 4, as your 4th one is your parlay. I know it's not a parlay, but hey, you know what? We'll use it as a parlay. All right, Wes, you ready?
Yeah, I am. So I'm going to start with a fun thing that we're doing. Last year we did a money line underdog every single week. We played every money line underdog in the NFL, and it was just one of those put your money where your mouth is. We've all been the guy with a beer saying, if you just take every underdog, you'll win. Well, I'll tell you, the account went up 12% between the beginning of the season and the Super Bowl. So this year, what I'm doing is I threw $100 in an account. I'm just going to bet $1 on the money line underdog and $1 on the money line. $1 on the dog with points. And we're going to see where it goes and how long it lasts. What I'm proving is guys that think they're smart like us in breaking things down, it might be as simple for those people looking to get into sports betting as just simply taking the underdogs and cheering against the room. So just throwing that out there, and I'll update everybody. I'll update you guys every week when we do this. But going in order from what takes place this week. And I got to say, last week was the first time I've ever given you guys a loser. That was the first time I've ever given losing place. So going in order from start to finish, Friday night, I'm going to go CFL because it works. I'm at 69% in CFL, and it's well documented. So I've had one losing week. So I'm going to Ottawa. I'm not going to bore everybody with CFL that most people don't care about. But if you care about money, you're going to lay 3.5 points taking Ottawa. They're coming off of a bye. They're coming off of a loss and a bye against a team that just has not been able to figure out the quarterback position. They thought they had it figured out going into the season. And what's really cool about Ottawa is the gentleman that's playing quarterback is QB3. He's mobile. He's a big body. And the CFL, you really get examples every year of next man up turning into the next star. So I'm laying 3.5 on Ottawa at home against nothing in Hamilton.
Derek, what do you got?
Just building off what Wes said, it kind of broke my heart as I picked my 4 picks, all NFL picks. I don't have an underdog against the spread or money line among the 4. And I think for like week 1, that's almost like a sin. I don't have the numbers offhand. I think Wes would know better than me, but I want to say since like 2000 or 2005, if you blindly bet every underdog against the spread, you would be profitable every single year. Since I want to say like 2000, just something crazy. And like, we know how wonky week 1 is. You remember the monsoon game with Chicago last year, beating San Fran, just like weird stuff happens. And a couple years ago, Jacksonville wins their only game of the season, week 1 against Indy. Just really weird stuff happens.
The Bills Jags beat the Bills 9-6 that one game too.
Yes.
With Urban Meyer.
Exactly. So having said that, I do not have any underdog plays among these 4, but I think definitely is something worth looking into before tomorrow night and Sunday. My first pick, I will go to tomorrow night, Thursday night game. I'm going to go with David Montgomery over 50.5 rushing yards. I think it's moved up to maybe 52.5. But I love this. I've always been a David Montgomery fan. He's had 4 straight 800-yard seasons behind a much, much worse Chicago offensive line. He's going to play behind the best offensive line he's ever had in his career tomorrow night. And as we all know, Chris Jones is looking like he's not going to be playing for the Chiefs. No Charles Omenihu as well. So you are looking at a Chiefs D-line that their depth chart as of right now, George Karlaftis, Derek Nadi, Tashawn Wharton, and Mike Dana is your starting defensive line for the Chiefs tomorrow. Now, I still think this is going to be a very competitive game. The Chiefs linebackers are really, really good. I think it's going to be a back and forth matchup, but I also think Montgomery is going to have his way on the ground. He is going to assume the Jamal Williams role. He's going to assume the Jamal Williams role. Jamal Williams, 262 carries last year over 15 games. That extrapolates to 15 carries a game. There is a reason the Lions did not re-sign Jamal Williams. They gave David Montgomery real money, $18 million over 3 years. Montgomery is a much more efficient runner. His rushing attempts prop is 12.5 juice to the over. I think he's going to see 14, 15 carries. If he gets that, I'm thinking he's gained 60, 65 yards. I absolutely love this.
I should have drafted him.
I am on the
The draft is over.
Guys, what do you think about this draft? It was a 14-team draft. I want to know your opinion, okay? I'm going to give you the guys I drafted, and I was doing it during the show. So there's no excuses for the boneheads over there on the way they drafted. I drafted Aaron Rodgers as my number 1 quarterback. Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, Austin Eckler, Travis Etienne, Sam Laporta, DJ Moore, Antonio Gibson, Gerald Everett, Russell Wilson, Elijah Mitchell, Marvin Mims Jr., Deontay Foreman, Alec Pierce, and the Miami Dolphins defense. What do you guys think?
14 teams. You did pretty well. That's pretty good. Seriously.
That's what I said.
You know what? I made a mistake because I waited for the time and I got Deontay Johnson. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. I got him, but he needs to score touchdowns this year. He can't go into the season.
That's already he's not going to get 0 again.
Oh, God, please. I mean, I love George Pickens. I think he's the number 1 guy. But I think Deontay Johnson's going to have a better year. He just needs to stay healthy.
He's steady. He's good.
Stay healthy, God damn it.
He's a good 10 to 15.
I mean, what do I got to do? You know, and everybody makes jokes of me. The best time I have when it comes to watching a football game is when I'm sitting on the bowl. Anytime I sit on the bowl,
when you sit on the ball.
Anytime I'm sitting on the ball and I'm watching on my phone, my team scores touchdowns. My team starts to get points. So I think for now on, during the fantasy time, I'm going to sit in the bathroom and eat my lunch.
Now we have to test the theory of watch a Jets game on the bowl and have Derek pick the Jets. Which will happen first?
Hey, let's do a show with me sitting on a toilet bowl.
No, let's not.
Let's not.
Let's not do that.
Only Phillip Rivers can pull that off on the
Derek's
toilet.
face. He's like, what the hell is happening here?
Derek, we do have to test that theory. 1 week you pick against the Jets. Errol has to watch the game on the toilet and see if the Jets win. So that'll cancel one of those out. Derek, the Jets jinx mountain.
I'll pick against them every week for you guys.
You are a jinx. Do not pick the Jets in week 1, my friend.
I won't. Just
all
for
right,
you guys.
Good. I love you for that. Go ahead, Wes. What do we got?
All right. So the first one we went with the CFL game. Now we're going to go into Saturday, and I'm gonna make a call on the Nebraska and Colorado game. It's Nebraska went 5 of 11 on 3rd down, struggled to put up points against Minnesota. Now they get to go to Colorado, the team with the most hype in the country. Big Noon's going to be there. Now I look at line movement. I pay attention to that, and 80% of the tickets are on Colorado, and the spread only moved a half a point. It very briefly Nebraska was a favorite, but that was somebody made a mistake because I saw it. But the line went from 2.5 to 3, and 80% of the money is on Colorado. So that says either there's some huge money on Nebraska, or the house is totally happy to be exposed opposite the public and only move that line a half a point. That being said, my play is not going to be on either team. I'm taking the under 59.5.
I thought you were going to take one of the teams, and you were like, my play is under.
No, the play is under, and it's because Nebraska struggled to score points against Minnesota, which I believe is not anywhere near as good of a team as this Colorado team is. Colorado played very disciplined football. They allowed a lot of points. And if you watch all these TikTok videos and everything else, Prime went in there talking to them about the mistakes, the points that they allowed. He let them feel good for about a half a second about beating TCU. So I think that Colorado's going to probably put 30 plus on the board because I think Shadur's that good. We saw some real speed at wide receiver. They got 4 different players that could catch the ball. So. But I don't think Nebraska is going to be able to meet up to their share of going over. They might score 17, 20 points. So the over-under is 59.5. We're going under on that game.
You don't trust the great Matt Rule?
By the way, Derek, one of our fans, Carl, says, bet the cards, Derek.
Under 13
again,
points.
I do trust Matt Rule, but it's that program. The brand is not as attractive to the portal and to the recruits. It's just not the Nebraska of 30 years ago. It's going to take Rule a couple of years, and the Big Ten's only going to get harder.
All right, Derek, what do you got?
building off that comment, I would just say Sam Howell as a 7-point favorite in an NFL game. That's like, I get he's got some preseason hype, but okay. Like, I'm just gonna sit back and watch that game. I'm more curious. I'm just curious more than anything. Okay, my second play. We've been talking up underdogs. I'm going to talk about a favorite, a divisional road favorite. So I'm almost cringing at my spine here giving this pick, but it's almost a confusing line to me just looking at the talent discrepancy that I see. I'm going to take the Cowboys -3.5 on Sunday Night Football over the Giants. 2 matchups last year. They won by a combined 15 points. In the first matchup, they had Cooper Rush under center. They were up by 2 scores most of the game. The Giants get a score late to make that a 7-point loss. Same thing happened in November. The Cowboys were up 28-13. Daniel Jones gets a garbage time touchdown to make it an 8-point loss. The Cowboys absolutely handled these guys last year, and all the moves that I've seen over the offseason, I think the Cowboys have taken another step in the right direction to be a serious contender.
Smart man right there.
They have filled up their 3 biggest holes that I saw. Cornerback 2, they traded for Stephon Gilmore. Their wide receiver 2, they traded Brandon Cooks for nothing. And in the first round, they drafted Mozzie Smith, who I will say he struggled in the preseason, but Jonathan Hankins down the stretch towards the later half of the season was a above replacement player at nose tackle. I think you got both of these guys in the middle of that defense. That run defense is much stronger than what it was at the beginning of the year last season. And for the Giants, I think they upgraded marginally with their pass catchers, with Waller, who, yes, is getting a lot of hype, but we got to remember he's 31 years old. He is past his prime. They have Jalen Hyatt, who is a 5'9", 175-pound speed guy who I think they're going to rely more on his speed to take guys out of the box and really his production on the field, at least to start. And other than that, I don't see that many upgrades that the Giants made. I'm still a believer in Joe Shane. I'm still a believer in Brian Daboll, season long, and the Giants' future. But this matchup in particular, I think this line should be more 5.5, 6 points. Just considering the talent discrepancy we're going to see on Sunday night. So give me the Cowboys -3.5.
Wes, what do you got?
That game's a double negative for me. I have rules. I will not bet I don't bet Thursday.
Which is so fair. That's very fair.
I won't bet Thursday night. I won't bet Sunday night, and I will not bet any matchup of NFC East teams, no matter where they go, or Monday night. I just don't do it. It's the easiest way to put myself in a better headspace.
And that's Wes's Fight Club rules of betting.
Well, yeah.
Just did Tom Brady came out of retirement. I'm picking him up. I'm just kidding.
Don't worry, the Patriots will sign him as a backup quarterback because they put all the other ones on the practice squad.
I'll take it.
There you go. Patriots second in the division once Brady comes out of retirement, Wes. There you go.
My next play, I'm going to stay in college, and we'll just go a little bit later in the day. I'm going to take 7.5 points, and I'm going to take University of Alabama Birmingham. They're coming off a game. They played NC A&T, and they're playing Georgia Southern, who played against Citadel. Both of them, it was a scrimmage that they're coming off of. But what I saw in the replays on both of these games was Georgia Southern kept their starters in a little bit longer, and they probably could have scored more points. The starters just ran out of gas late in the game, or they ran out of motivation. Their body language was terrible in the fourth quarter. UAB was very efficient. They managed their roster very well, getting ready for a more meaningful game, and now they're going to get 7.5 points. They were 8 and 10 on third down. They were 4 out of 5 in the red zone. I don't care who you're playing. That's efficient ball, and now they're going to get 7.5 points. And Trent Dilfer is an interesting coach to watch. Prime is getting the hype, but Trent Dilfer, I'm looking at him on another screen to see what he does. So I'm going to take 7.5 points. I don't know that they win this game. They could, but I just like the way that coach managed versus the other one against a cupcake matchup in week 1.
A cupcake, huh?
All right, here we go.
I could use a cupcake right now.
Oh, that's Snug Sally. We can send you one.
Some chocolate chip cookies.
I had too many cupcakes.
By the way, I want to tell you guys a funny quick story. I was making chocolate chip cookies over the weekend. And it was late at night, and I was like, I was going to make cookies for the next day, right?
You ate them all.
No. I was sitting on the couch, and I fell asleep, and I woke up.
You burnt them.
burnt them. I almost lit my house on fire. I mean, it smells to this day. If you don't notice the smell, it smells like burnt cookies.
I don't smell burnt
cookies. Oh, you don't smell it?
No.
I'll go in and out of the house and you'll smell it. You could now you just get used to it. Sticks to the walls. It's disgusting. I don't even want to have a chocolate chip cookie after that smell.
Scarred for life.
I'm serious. Every time I look at a chocolate chip cookie now, I look at the black ones that I pulled out of the friggin' oven. I mean, it was disgusting, man. Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry, boys.
I think Derek is up.
Go ahead, Derek.
All right. So for my third play, I am going to go back to the player prop market. I'm going to take an under. I'm going to go with Jamal Williams under 53.5 rushing yards. They are taking on the Tennessee Titans at 1:00. So there's no Alvin Kamara on Sunday. He's beginning his 3-game suspension. So Jamal is going to presume the starting role here. So what gives? Why am I taking his under? I'm glad you asked. On the surface, Jamal Williams had a great 2022 season, 1,000 yards. He led the league in rushing touchdowns with 17. But again, like I said, talking about David Montgomery, there is a reason Detroit did not bring him back. He's a great short yardage runner, but he is not an efficient down-to-down runner. I do not think he fits the mold of a first and second down back, which is what he's going to be on Sunday. I think that is more Kendre Miller, the third-round rookie they took out of TCU with much more juice. Second, I do not like the matchup that he has on Sunday. This Tennessee D-line, for my money, is top 5 in the league when they are healthy. When they were healthy last year through week 11, they were first in the league in rushing success rate. Now, this was a Tennessee team at that time going into week 11. They were 7-3. They were cruising in the AFC South. They were looking great. Injuries just absolutely killed this team down the stretch. Denico Autry missing the last 5 games of the season. Jeffrey Simmons was nicked up, missed a couple games down the stretch and was playing hurt. Harold Landry was out for the season. Bud Dupree was out for the season. I mean, these are monsters on the D-line, and all of them were missing action towards the second half of the year. They lose their 6th straight. They collapse to end the year. Jacksonville takes that division, but this is a team, another team that I am sneaky high on going into the season. I think this is a perfect matchup to pinpoint in the player prop market. I think this number should be closer to 45, 44 yards for Jamal Williams. Anytime you take a rushing under, you always got to worry about if he's a big play threat, if he can get that rush, if he can get that total with a big rush. You do not have to worry about that with Jamal Williams. That guy, like I said, he's a short yardage specialist. He's not bursting out for any 20 or 30-yard runs on Sunday. So I feel very comfortable taking this number here. If he gets 15 or 16 carries, I still feel pretty good here. So give me Jamal Williams under 53.5 rushing yards.
All right. Final one for Mr. Blackhawk Wes.
I'm going to the NFL, and I'm looking at the Rams in Seattle. And first, we'll look at how these two teams did against one another last year. There was a game where it was decided in overtime, and it was a 3-point difference. And then the first meeting was a 4-point difference. And I believe the Rams had John Wolford.
Who beat them in the playoffs?
A guy from Wake Forest was starting the quarterback. This game, there was a lot of red flags. So when I scan the layout of games, the first thing I look for is anything in a division that's more than 4 points. So this one immediately got circled, and that passed the first scan. And then I like to look at line movement, and it always that's not like my main thing, but any red flags. And this one, again, 63% of the action is on Seattle, yet the line only moved a half a point. Cooper Kupp is not in the roster. After that was adjusted, nothing moved at all. So I got a team who has their starting quarterback back, did not play them once last year. Stafford is the best quarterback on the field of these two teams. I realize that it's in Seattle, but Seattle did not beat them by more than 4 points last year without Stafford in the game. So I'm getting a lot of good here and taking points. I'm not saying the Rams win the game, but I am saying that 5.5 is too many. I like the addition of Jackson Smith and Jigba. You guys know I bleed Ohio State. I thought he's been overrated all throughout the draft process. I think that he was the beneficiary of a lot of being the third option to Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, and he is going to contribute, but I don't think it's going to be this early in the season where we can say, whoa, and now they got 3 options at wide receiver. It's going to take him time. It's been over a year since that man has played meaningful football. So I like the Rams here in a division matchup. If I had to just blindly pick a game, I would immediately go for the division dog over 4 points. And this is 5.5 in a division, better quarterback, comparable coach. I'm going to take the Rams.
Their matchups are always close too. Like when the Seahawks had their run, the Legion of Boom, the Rams were the one team that always played them close in the division, and then vice versa. When the Rams got good, Seattle always played them close.
The Seahawks last year, they won by some big margins, but they won against teams that aren't where they are now. They beat the Jets, who couldn't figure out quarterback. They beat them 23-6. They laid it on pretty good to against the Giants. But they beat the Cardinals by 10. That's a big win in a division. But for the most part, they're not killing people in their wins. And they lost a lot of games last year. So division opponent, that the Rams, nobody's talking about the Rams. Going into last season, the talk was, will they repeat? They were going into last season as a defending Super Bowl champion. Can they repeat?
I thought they'd go back too. Oddly enough, that didn't happen. All right, Derek, you got one more.
Okay, so for my final pick, early in the season, I always like to find a way to bet against rookie quarterbacks. And for this year, we have 3. We have 3 of the top 4 picks: Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. So Wes just brought up Ohio State. I am a CJ Stroud fan as a prospect, but I think it's going to be tough sledding for him early on. This training camp, he has lost his right tackle, who's on the IR, his left guard, who is out for the season, and their second-round pick center, who is out for week 1. So he's already down 60% of his O-line. That was an advantage, I thought, going into training camp that Houston could exploit on this Baltimore front, but now that's no longer an advantage for them. These Ohio State quarterbacks, you always hear the narrative, Ohio State quarterbacks don't produce in the NFL, which is just – I hate that narrative, but I do think there is a learning curve going from Ryan Day's vertical offense and the receivers that they play with at Ohio State to the NFL level. CJ Stroud, you see with Justin Fields, they are waiting for routes to develop down the field. They're playing with receivers like a Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, all first-round picks. Marvin Harrison is probably the best player in college football besides Caleb Williams. I mean, these are guys that are going to win their routes 80-90% of the time. That doesn't take away from the fact that CJ Stroud's really accurate. He is a good play creator when he's out of structure. He has enough arm talent to produce, but I think there is a significant learning curve for these guys. So having said that, I will not lay 10 points with Baltimore. I think that is a huge number. I do not feel comfortable doing that. I will go to the under. I'll go under 43.5 for that reason, because of CJ Stroud. I think he will struggle. And on the other side, I'm a believer in this Houston defense. They finished last season 12th in defensive DVOA, and now they add Will Anderson, and they get D'Amico Ryans to call plays, who produced on San Francisco. I know there is a talent drop-off, but I think he has that cornerstone pass rusher to build around in Will Anderson. They have Derek Stingley, who is another top 3 pick on the outside at corner, and they have plenty of pass rushers to get after Lamar Jackson. I am high on this Ravens offense and their outlook, but this is a new play caller. This is the second play caller for Lamar Jackson. Totally different than what Greg Roman deployed over his career to start. So I think their outlook's really good. I really like the Zay Flowers addition. I think Odell has a chance to resurrect his career, but this is week 1. Weird stuff happens. There's a learning curve here. I think this could be a weird, sloppy, and competitive game. I love taking this under here. 43.5 points. I think Houston's going to struggle to get to 2-3 scores here. I think Houston will find a way to keep it close. So give me this under.
All right, let's parlay. West this week, Derek Mountain. You guys can stay on. We're going to go through the last 3 divisions of the AFC. We have the AFC North, the AFC South, and the AFC West. You guys want to stay along? We'll let you guys go first. Derek, you'll go first. AFC North, where do you have them ranked? What are their records and why?
So we did AFC East, which I said could be the best. This is the other division that could be the best in football. This one's tough. So I'll go, all right, bottom to top. I will go with the Steelers last, even though I really like the Steelers outlook. I'm just Pickett, for my money, is the worst quarterback in that division. I love Mike Tomlin. They always seem to overachieve. The O-line has improved, but I still think it's a question mark. I'm going to pick the Steelers last. I don't love that pick. Third, I'm going to go
with
with
the
the Browns.
Record? What do you think?
I'll say 9 wins. I'll say they'll go 9 wins. Tomlin's always over 500. Third place, I'll go with the Browns. This is a nice roster. I think it's a really good roster. They don't really have a lot of holes. It comes down to Deshaun Watson. Is he going to look like the 2020 version that we saw in Houston, or is he going to look like the last 5 games he did in Cleveland? It's probably neither of them. It's probably somewhere in between. And if you get that, you have a team with a really good rushing attack, some intriguing weapons, a good defense that I think will take a step forward, Jim Schwartz. But I don't know if they're going to get over the hump and beat the likes of Cincinnati and Baltimore. So I'm going to say Cleveland's in third with 10 wins. I'm going to go Baltimore second with 11 wins. For all the reasons I talked about previewing that Houston game. Love the pass catchers. I think Lamar is going to have his best passing season. I think he's a dark horse to win another MVP. And I don't love the defensive talent, but with Roquan Smith, they took a huge step forward after they got him at the deadline last year. So I will take the Ravens to go second with 11 wins, and I'm going to go with Cincy first. Best quarterback, best weapons. Both coordinators are back somehow. I don't know how either of those guys weren't posted as head coaches, but defense is still really solid. I think they're in contention to be the 1 seed in the AFC. I will go with Cincy with 13 wins.
Wow. That's a lot. Wes, what do you got him?
The schedules that the teams in this division play are not created equal in terms of who they play outside the division, and specifically just outside the division in general. The Bengals have to go to Arrowhead. I was just looking through Baltimore. Baltimore's got some tough ones. They have to go to San Francisco. They play the Jags. So I think the Steelers, when you look at their schedule, it's kind of the easiest when you're looking outside of the division. They got the Raiders, they got the Texans, they get the Colts, they get Green Bay, and they get them at home, and they get them when weather starts to kind of get cold. So the Steelers get the Patriots, which I think that by the time we get to December, it's going to be a very different Patriots team. But they close out the season with 2 road games. But I think the Steelers have the easiest schedule, and so this is a tough division. I think Cleveland's on the bottom. I think Cleveland's a 5-win team. Deshaun Watson lost his career. They overpaid him, and it's pure Cleveland fashion. I loved Deshaun Watson in college. I really wanted it to work. They were in the playoffs. I remember the game, Deshaun Watson Arrowhead. They ran out of fireworks. I mean, that was a really good Deshaun Watson Texans team. But I got a 5-win team, Cleveland on the bottom, and then from here it's really a coin flip. I got to put the Steelers, but I don't love that play. I'm with Derek. I'm going to put them at 9. Maybe 10 wins, only because they're outside the division schedule is easier and they get some of the tougher ones at home. I think they got a real shot against San Francisco, only because of their defense going against Brock Purdy. I don't know. I think if their defense shows up, they're going to be able to keep it close. So I got the next 2 teams. I got the Steelers and the Bengals at 9 and 7. I got the Ravens running away with this. I think that the Ravens are an 11 or a 12-win team. I think that the change to O coordinator is going to be a really good one for Lamar, even though it's yet another different coordinator. I think he has some weapons. We got one of the better tight ends in the league, and Lamar is an extremely mobile quarterback. And I like what the O-line looks like right now. So I think the Ravens are the class of this team. I think they're going to compete for a top 2, possibly win the conference.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, Speedy.
I'm actually going the reverse of you, Wes. I actually think I don't trust the Ravens in terms of staying healthy, and I don't trust the Ravens in terms of certain defensive aspects of the way they're built right now. Marlon Humphrey's going to be out for a month, maybe more. They don't have a lot of corner depth like they used to. It's very weird. Marcus Peters gone. Tavon Young has not stayed healthy. They haven't really found guys in free agency that have helped that kind of thing. And their pass rush, like I was telling Errol during the fantasy draft too, they don't have a lot of great edge rushing depth. So I worry about that. I agree with you on Lamar Jackson. I think his volume in terms of the passing offense will be a lot better, but I'm worried about their offensive line too. They've had trouble staying healthy too. So I'm going to go the Ravens last 9-8. Like Derek was saying, this is a tough one to pick. I'm going to say the Steelers and Browns will tie 10-7. They're going to be tied for second. I'll give the edge to the Browns right now. So the Steelers, I'll say
you
third.
have a love fest for the Browns.
He does.
There's something with you with this Browns team. It's like a love fest.
So the Steelers, I like their draft a lot. They were one of my favorites. I know Broderick Jones has had some issues in training camp so far.
2 years ago, you had them going to the Super Bowl.
I know. And I think I agree with Wes.
Baker Mayfield.
I did. They almost beat Wes's Chiefs, and it looked like they were a team on the come up. Didn't have enough hype.
Get out of here! You're smelling something. Maybe you're smelling the crap that I've been taking a crap on.
No,
the bowl. I mean, maybe you're getting some kind of sickness or something.
But
Jesus,
it's those burnt chocolate chip cookies he's smelling.
How the hell do you pick? I'm serious. How the hell do you pick the Browns over Baltimore?
Because I like the Jim Schwartz addition to that defense. That defense was very horribly coached
Well,
last
you're
year
wrong.
with all that talent.
So you're already wrong. So go ahead.
That Jim Schwartz did a fantastic job with the Eagles when they won their Super Bowl with corners that were horrible. Think about that, Derek. You remember that Sidney Jones and like Patrick Robinson. Like, who are these guys? And
Ronald Darby.
Right. The Browns have Denzel Ward. They got Greg Newsome. They got a kid in Emerson that played very well last year as a rookie. This is a much better secondary than what that Philly team had. The Philly's pass rush was probably better, but the Browns pass rush is very good too. So I could definitely see that making a difference. And that offensive line is still very strong, and their receiving depth is very good too. As far as the Steelers, I love their draft a lot. I think their defense, like you were saying earlier, is still going to be very good. They're going to get a lot of sacks. They're going to get a lot of turnovers. You're right, Derek. Pickett is a little concerning for me. He's kind of more of a basic quarterback, but I do think their offensive line will be better, and they're not going to have to worry about as much lack of balance in that. So I'm going to say the Steelers 10-7, and then I'm agree with you, Derek. 13-4 for the Bengals. Their schedule's really easy. I know, Wes, you were saying they have a tough game in Kansas City and stuff like that.
They have no secondary.
Their secondary, I liked a lot of the prospects though in that draft, and
you also like the Browns over Baltimore.
I do. And I think Lou Anamaro, like you were saying, Derek, one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. I think he'll be able to adjust to that. This schedule, besides the games Wes was talking about, is pretty easy. And I think the offensive firepower is still there. They bring in Orlando Brown, number 1 seed in the AFC, Cincinnati Bengals.
Something is smoking, man. I'm serious.
He's
whatever you're smoking, you got to hook me up with it, man.
At San Francisco, at Buffalo, at Arrowhead, at Jacksonville. That's a tough schedule.
Okay, they can win 2 of those games, though, Wes.
Good luck for the Browns. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Beav.
All right, so I got the Steelers finishing in last place. I mean, I like the way the moves that they made this year, but I don't trust their quarterback. And they'll probably have 8 or 9 wins. I mean, they could be under 500, but usually Mike Tomlin's over 500, so I'll give them 9 wins. Then I'm going to put the Browns at 3rd. And I don't trust Deshaun Watson. You don't know what he's going to be. I mean,
you drafted him.
I did draft as a backup. I got Joe Burrow as my quarterback. I'll probably never use Deshaun Watson.
Trade him. You can get your 4th running back on your roster.
You guys should be like a tag team.
Why?
You guys should have your own fantasy team. Both of you. You're both nuts.
His fantasy team's in last place every year.
You guys are nuts. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I got the Browns finishing 3rd, and then I got the Baltimore Ravens finishing 1st. And the Bengals finishing 2nd.
Just so you know, okay, because this is ridiculous. I don't know how he picks the Browns over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I heard them
tied.
You heard
10-7.
You heard from what Wes said. They have probably the easiest schedule in the division.
Understand that, but that's where they're going to finish.
Here's what I have. I think the Browns stink. Okay, I think they stink. I think Amari Cooper is the only decent player they have on that team. Deshaun Watson's not the same player. He needs to stop playing with himself or having people play with him. Okay, because that's the big problem. That really sent him down. And like Wes said, his career could be over. I don't think it is, but it could be over. I don't like this defense. This defense can't stay healthy. And I wonder what the Browns are going to be all season long when their schedule gets harder. And like Wes said, the schedule is hard in the beginning. So I expect them to fall off pretty quick. I think the Browns don't win more than 6 games this year. I think they're the worst team in the division. Second team, I think it's Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh wins 10 games. I think their schedule falls in their favor. I think they're one of the best defenses in all of the NFL. I think they're going to prove it. They're going to get at the quarterback, and they're going to put pressure. I think Najee Harris is going to have a fantastic year. I expect him to have 1,300 yards. And I think Kenny Pickett, as much as everybody thinks Kenny Pickett is the worst quarterback in this class and in this division, I think that he has the weapons. I think George Pickens is going to have a great year. I think he's going to win the number one job. I think Johnson's going to have a better year than he did last year. Better because he's on my team. But nevertheless, I think this team is going to be offensively sound. I think they're going to be as good a defense in the NFL. So I expect them to win 10 games. Number 2, I think it's Cincinnati. Everybody keeps blowing up Cincinnati. Look how good they are. Look what they added. They added Brown. They added this. They can add all they want to the offensive line. All season long until the second half of the season, they couldn't stop a lick. They couldn't stop anybody. So adding Brown doesn't make a difference. The guy has a thorn up his ass, and he took more money going over there. So I don't think Brown's going to help this team any more than what they lost in Jesse Bates, who went to Atlanta. I think Jesse Bates' loss in the offseason is going to kill their secondary. They're going to have problems in the secondary. And by the way, I don't care what Jones says. Jones didn't have any minicamp. He didn't play in OTAs. That's a huge, huge problem for a guy his size who expects to get on the field and do the things that he does as well as he does. I think Cincinnati is the second place team. I think they win 11 games at most, maybe 10. And then at 1, I think it's the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know how you pick them last, Speedy. You're on drugs.
You are on drugs.
I mean, this defense is good. This offense is good. And by the way, the defense didn't even play at the top of their game until they, like you said, Roquan Smith, the trade up for Roquan Smith. I think this team is as good defensively as any team in the division. That says a lot about the division and what everybody says about it. And Lamar Jackson's going to have a fantastic, Derek, you're right, fantastic year. Weapons all over the field. They have J.K. Dobbins healthy this year. I don't know how good he's going to be, but I like Edwards. They even have Melvin Gordon if they really they need him. I think they have more than enough weapons to put up the numbers that they need to win. Give me Baltimore, 12-win season. And by the way, Tucker breaks another record, hitting a 70-yard field goal kick this year.
Wow.
My prediction.
Errol, I just have to say my dog's name is Dobbin, so if you said it any louder, there might have been a 90-pound greyhound that joined us.
Are you a J.K. Dobbins fan?
O.H.? Yes, I am a Dobbins fan.
I drafted him.
I named the dog after J.K. Dobbins because we bleed Ohio State around here. We don't even write with blue pens.
Look at that. He lives in Kansas City. He's a Chicago Bears fan, but now transition into a Kansas City Chiefs fan. All right, let's go. Let's get this.
AFC.
We have two more. We have 2 more divisions. AFC South. Derek, you first.
Okay, so my last place team, I'm going with the Colts. Rebuild year. Jonathan Taylor out at least 4 games, probably more. Looking like an active hold-in for him. Anthony Richardson. The athletic profile is really like nothing we've ever seen, but I think year one's gonna be tough for Anthony Richardson. I like the pairing with Shane Steichen, but outside of Pittman, he's not throwing it much. So I'm gonna go with the Colts with 5 wins. My third place team. This one kind of hurts. Like I'm going to put Houston there, but I like them. I like what they're doing. I think they have a good trajectory moving forward, but that O-line's killer. I mean, I think going into the year, they were borderline top 6, top 7, just looking at them on paper, but now they're down 3 already. I mean, that's just brutal. So I think that hurts them, at least early season. I'm going to say they have 6 wins, but I think they're pesky. I think they're going to be really competitive, but maybe it's going to take a year, get some more weapons for Stroud in year 2, and maybe you got something there. Second place, I will go with Tennessee, even though I really want to put them first. I just can't with that O-line and those weapons. I can't do it. That O-line is probably bottom 3 in football. Those weapons, you're relying on a 30-year-old DeAndre Hopkins who really tailed off towards the end of last season. He started off really strong, tailed off towards the end, and you're relying on Treylon Burks, who I'm high on, but he was unreliable as a rookie, to put it modestly. Outside of that, I mean, you got Kyle Phillips, you got Chigo Okonkwo. Obviously, you still have Derrick Henry, but are the wheels going to fall off? They could fall off. You always worry about that. I like the defense, but I think the secondary isn't super strong. For Jacksonville, people are a little high on Jacksonville for me. I mean, I'm hearing people toss around 1 seed because they're in the AFC South. They could pile up all these wins. Looking at their schedule, I mean, they're playing Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Baltimore. I mean, they still have a pretty tough schedule, so I don't think they're going to run away with this thing and win 13 games. I've seen people throw out those takes on Twitter. I'm not going that far. I still think their O&D line are super, super sketchy. I think the Calvin Ridley addition is really fun. I think it could make the offense be a legit top 5 unit, but I do not like that defense. I'm not high on that defense. I think this is a 9-win team.
Wow, and they do
the exact same thing as last year. They just scrape by and win this division with 9 games.
Interesting. How about you, Wes? Where do you got this division?
Can't hear him.
Wes, you're muted.
He'll unmute.
There he is.
I don't see it much different. I think the Colts might be a 2-win team. It's just what it is. There's so much going on there. The way that they've handled Jonathan Taylor is terrible. The way that they handled head coach is terrible. I think the players can probably feel it in the locker room, how Bush League of an organization this has become. I mean, everything from the time Peyton Manning left to the way they handled Andrew Luck. I mean, the players have to feel it. Richardson played very little football in college, and that was not a very good football team for most of the season. He demonstrated some really remarkable, unique athletic ability, but that was not a good Gators team. He's very inexperienced, and I mean, this head coach could just be a bridge to what's next. I mean, I don't know what head coach worth anything would go play for Jim Irsay. I think that he's low key worse than Jerry Jones. And so I got them winning 2, maybe 3 games if they catch a team in a trappy situation. And then I got to put Houston, right there. I think Houston is going to fight hard. I think D'Amico's going to have them fighting. I agree with everything Derek said earlier about CJ Stroud. The Ohio State quarterbacks, they just don't have to. They don't have to fight through adversity. They have great wide receivers. They have great O-line. Ryan Day is getting beat up on because of the last 2 years of losing to the team up north, but he's one of the best coaches in college. So CJ's never had to be down. He's never had to play from behind. That's a learning curve, especially against NFL defenses. So I got Houston winning probably 6 games. And then
just like Derek.
And then Jacksonville's going to win the division. And I have Tennessee finishing second. I think Tennessee's going to probably win 9, maybe 10. They have a really tough 3-game road stretch in November, but then they have 5 real easy games. So they may win 10 games or 9 games. If they get into the playoffs, they're going to get in the playoffs with some momentum because of the 5 games that they have to close out their season. I think the last game of the season is at Jacksonville. Jacksonville may not be fighting for anything. And so I think that Tennessee could really have some momentum closing it up. And I think Jacksonville's going to win this division 11 games just because of their schedule. And Trevor's going to make some mistakes. He's not winning the MVP.
All right, I'm thinking a lot of the same as you, Wes. Colts are last. They win 3 games. Not only did they trade Jonathan Taylor at the trade deadline, they're also going to trade Michael Pittman, and I think he'll be a valuable piece to a contending team at the trade deadline. So their last Texans, 5 wins. I think they'll be pesky. Like Derek was saying, their defense has been very good. And I think they improved in the front 7 enough where I could see that being a tougher out for them. So they're second. They're third. Second is the Titans. I'm going to say 9 wins for them because like Derek was saying, like when they're fully healthy, they're one of the best front 7s in the league. I think their secondary is underrated too with a lot of good young corners. It's just a matter, like I was saying with the Falcons, if they can get a passing attack going that quickly because they have enough of the running game and their offensive line should not be as bad as they were last year. But Jacksonville is the best team. Their one issue that I'm worried about with them is their offensive line a little bit, but they're getting some guys back healthy, and their secondary, which I thought was a big problem for them last year, did improve.
You didn't like the draft pick, Harrison?
He could be good, but again, I think they still have other holes.
He's looked good, I heard.
The interior.
I've been reading. He's looked really, really good.
So, yeah, that could definitely help one tackle side. We'll see on Cam Robinson, who I think is out for the first 4 games as well. So that's the only thing that worries me, but their secondary did get better from where they were last year, where I thought they would be. So I think they're going to be 11-6 divisional champs.
All right, Beeve, who do you got?
I got the Colts finishing in last place, and they're not going to win any games at all this season.
Oh,
they're going to
winless team.
A winless team. That's what they're going to be. They got nothing. And like you said, Jonathan Taylor will be traded. I don't think he plays a snap for the Colts. What are you laughing at?
I love it.
You
Go
love
ahead.
it. Why you love it?
Go ahead.
The bold
Finish
pick.
it.
It's a
We
bold
got one
pick.
more division. Let's go.
I know. And Houston's going to finish second. They're going to have 3 wins. I mean, not second, third. They're going to have 3 wins. And I'm going to have the Jaguars winning the whole division, and they're going to have like 13 wins. And the Titans will finish second with 10.
I agree with you, Beav. I think the Colts are the worst team in the division. I think they win one game. I don't trust Richardson. I like the kid's talent. I love what I saw at the Combine, but Combine doesn't sell me anything. And Justin Fields, it took him a little while to figure that out, but he really proved himself at the end of the season. I don't know if Richardson's even anywhere close to what Justin Fields is as a player. So I have them at winning 1. I think the Texans, like you were saying, Wes, like you were saying, Derek and Speedy, I think they can win 5 or 6 games, but I'm even going to predict they win 7 games. I think they're a lot better. I think they're a lot better than people think. I think they have a great running game. Pierce is a great running back. They have a good weapons, young weapons, and I think C.J. Stroud's a lot better than people think he is. I think he's the best quarterback in this class. I really do believe it. I think he's got a great arm. I think he's going to prove, and I think he has a lot to prove for where Bryce Young was drafted. I think he believes that he was better than Bryce Young. So falling to second, even though some people thought he was going to fall out of second to maybe third or 4th, I think C.J. Stroud is going to show, even with the offensive line woes, that he is a great quarterback. At number 2, I would say Tennessee. Like you, Derek, I was kind of questioning my thoughts of where Tennessee is and the Jaguars are. I think the Jaguars schedule, like you were saying, Derek, it does get hard at certain aspects. They have to go against some of the best teams in the league and with some of the best defenses. And is Trevor Lawrence going to be protected? That's a lot of questions that only Jacksonville is going to be able to answer as the season progresses. And by the way, Travis Etienne has to stay healthy. If he doesn't stay healthy, they have no chance to win this division. I think he's a big part of this offense and what this offense can do throughout the season. So I have the Titans winning 8 games. Maybe 9, and Jaguars win 10 games. I don't think any more than 10 games. So that's where I think the Jaguars win with 10 wins. So Jaguars, Titans, Texans, Colts. All right, final one, ladies and gentlemen, the AFC West. I know this is West's division, but I'm going to go with Derek first. Where do you have this division?
All right, last place, Raiders. I think this one is easy. I have no idea what they're doing. Look, like you look at their depth chart, right? They're rolling out Marcus Peters, who they just signed, coming off an ACL. He's their first corner. They have, oh man, who am I looking at? David Long Jr. is starting as the other outside corner. They have Jerry Tillery, who was cut outright by the Chargers, the worst run defense in football last year. He is starting for them at D tackle right now. They're running back an offensive line that was probably a bottom 5 offensive line. They have 4 of the 5 same starters. They have Greg Van Roon, who is taking that 5th spot, who was cut by the Bills. Again, we talked about it earlier. That was a bad offensive line last year. They just restructured Jimmy G today, which makes it harder for them to move on from him after this season. I truly do not have any idea what they're trying to do. I think this is a 3-win team. I think they're going to be in contention to pick first. I know everyone's kind of slotted in the Cardinals to pick first. Don't count out the Raiders. That is an incompetent organization. So I will jot them down for 3 wins. 3rd place, I'm going to put the Broncos. I'm a believer in Sean Payton. He's like the Mike Tomlin type. He was the Mike Tomlin of the NFC with the Saints. He just always overachieves. Even when Drew Brees wasn't in there and he had Taysom Hill, he had Teddy Bridgewater. He just found a way to win games. But I kind of think Russ is cooked. I really do. I do not think Russ fits that prototype of a Sean Payton quarterback. He is not good from the pocket. He does not throw over the middle of the field. He is not a timing quarterback. All characteristics needed to play in a Sean Payton offense. So I'm not going to, say this is my take, but they did give Jared Stidham a good amount of money to be their backup. I wouldn't be surprised if Jared Stidham got a few starts at the end of the year.
Crazy.
Let me just say
He's out of his mind. Jared Stidham.
I'll say Denver gets 7 wins. I still think they're going to be competitive. Sean Payton's not going to have a bad football team. 2nd place, the Chargers. They're just perpetually disappointing. I don't think they're a serious threat to the Chiefs. I'll slot them in for 9 wins because they do have talent. They still have Herbert, who, for my money, is a top 5 quarterback talent-wise. But I just can't get behind Staley. I think the Kellen Moore hire is nice. It's better than Lombardi, but they're still a flawed team. 9 wins for them. And Chiefs, I will go with 12 wins. I worry about the Chris Jones holdout. How long is that going to be? I think this is a very spotty defense without Chris Jones. So I would worry about that. But, I mean, with Mahomes, does it really matter? Like they're still going to win most of their games. They're still probably going to be on cruise control, and they're going to be in contention for the 1 seed. So Chiefs 1 seed, or in contention for the 1 seed, but number 1 in this division, 12 wins.
All right, Wes, where do you have it? I know where you have it.
Well, I'm agreeing on the Raiders. They could be in crash for Caleb mode. And you know, but you know how Raiders would that be if they picked up Caleb Williams and then he pulled a Jamarcus Russell next year?
I like that. I like that shirt. Crash for Caleb. That's good. That's good.
Well, it was tank for Tua. It was suck for luck. You know, there was
just don't have Henry Ruggs driving the car, and you'll be good.
Yeah, I mean the Raiders.
Send that to the Bulldogs.
The Raiders can truly tell the story of how not to draft. So if you're deciding if a player is going to be successful or not, just look at who goes to the Steelers and who goes to the Raiders. But so the Raiders are probably a 4-win team, 3-win team, but I mean they're going to be towards the bottom. This next one I really struggle with because I really don't think that the Chargers have a very good coach, but at the same time, they have an incredible roster. They just need a little bit of coaching. They just need to clean up some of the mistakes, some of the inconsistencies on defense with that defensive personnel that they have. They got a great quarterback. They made the right move locking him in. So I got to put the Broncos, third place in the division just because I agree with everything Derek said. But a year ago, the Broncos, they were a Russell Wilson away. I think Sean Payton is a good enough coach to figure out what he does best and let him do it. That was a good defense, but it's their schedule and the opponents. I mean, they got to play the Chargers twice and they got to play the Chiefs twice. I think it's fair to say that they might win 1 out of those 4 games. So I got the Broncos win, probably going 500.
That's pretty good.
And then I have, I got to say the Chiefs are going to win the division, but I between the Chiefs and the Chargers, I think it's going to be a fight down the stretch, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Chargers actually win the division. It's just the coaching that has me really hesitant to make that call. But I am a Chiefs season ticket holder, and if you look at their schedule, the Chiefs have the potential to be ugly early, and so in order to win your division, you got to rack up wins. The Lions, we can all call it a coin flip. Kelce, Chris Jones, the Chiefs will probably win it, but I don't think it's going to look good. Then they go at Jacksonville. They get the Bears at home. The Chiefs struggle against quarterbacks like Justin Fields that can run around. And that's a team that's got a lot to prove. Then they go at the Jets, at Minnesota, back home against the Donkeys, who are going to be bringing some defense, very upset to play them. Then they get the Chargers. So, and then you go into the back half of their schedule, and it doesn't really get any better. They got to go to Lambeau in December. And the times of the schedule, they have 1 game that is a local kickoff time at noon. They lost a home game to go to Germany. And so I think that's a 9:30 Eastern kickoff. So they got 5 7 o'clock games, so they don't have a real rhythm of the season. So I got the Chiefs winning 11 or 12, and I have the Chargers winning 11 or 12, and it's a coin flip which one goes first, which one goes second in the division. This is not a Chiefs team that is going to be a number 1 seed in the conference. I believe that they're going to be a playoff team, but I don't think we're looking at a 6th Arrowhead Invitational.
All right. So, yes, the Raiders will be last. They're going to be a 3-win team, but they are going to beat the Chargers. So they're going to ruin them like they always do. Derek, your guy, Jerry Tillery, and Damian Square, the 2 former defensive tackles that got sacks for the Raiders against the Chargers. But nevertheless, they're going to beat the Chargers, but only win 3 games. Then I have a tie, 9 wins each for both the Chargers and the Broncos, but I'll give the edge to the Broncos because the Chargers will lose to the Raiders.
Come on, Chargers.
Because the Chargers, like I was saying with the Ravens, have a lot of injury-prone players, too. Joey Bosa, you can't trust. J.C. Jackson came over from the Patriots, and really, when he was healthy, did not look great either.
Feed him today? I didn't feed him nothing.
Derwin James, another guy that's been hurt a lot. Now, again, their offense is a lot better. I think Kellen Moore, I know, Beav, you've been critical of him, but he's definitely a big upgrade over Joe Lombardi. Joe Lombardi was one of the worst coordinators in football last year. The thing is, I worry about the injury risk with their wide receivers as well, too. And the inside of that offensive line, are they going to be able to get an inside running game? Eckler's plenty good on the outside, but inside running game will be tough. So I'll say them 9-8. The Broncos 9-8 as well. They improved their offensive line massively. I think getting Mike McGlinchey, getting Ben Powers from the Ravens, too, a nice addition. They've had some receivers hurt, but Marvin Mims is a rookie that I loved as a prospect a lot, and now he's on a lot of your guys' fantasy teams now.
He's on mine.
Yes, Javonte Williams, I think will return nicely. He'll start a little slow, but he'll return nicely. And I think that defense, I was wrong on them last year. I'll take the L. I thought they were to fall off badly losing Fangio. They did not. So I think they'll regress a little, but not to the extent that they were supposed to. I think they'll still be good enough to stay afloat in that division. And I agree with Wes. I think the Chiefs will win the division, but I think it'll be a little tougher than people think because they have a lot of good young defensive players that they have to transition all at once. I think they're an 11-win team. Besides Chris Jones, really the only other star at a particular position is probably Nick Bolton. He was a nice young linebacker, but that's really it. The offense is a lot of coaching and wait and see and motion. But the Chiefs do win 11 games, but they're only going to be the number 3 seed in the AFC this year.
Interesting.
Go ahead, Beef.
So I'm gonna have the Raiders. I agree with Derek on this. They only have like 3 or 4 wins. I mean, I don't trust Garoppolo. They don't have a defense. And Devontae Adams is going to want out of there by the trade deadline. He's going to leave this team. He's going to go somewhere else. So the Raiders.
Jet fans, do not say it's the Jets.
I'm not going to say the Jets.
I mean, Jet fans, they're all over the place.
I know. They're
First
all over
it's
the
Nick
place.
Bosa. Now it's Devontae Adams.
I know. But Adams will not be a Raider.
I'm a Jet fan. I don't want to hear it anymore. Stop.
Devontae Adams to the Lions, everybody.
I've got a headache, okay? I've got a headache. We're getting him. We're getting him. We're getting him. No, we're not. Stop. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
So then I'm going to have the Broncos in third place, probably like around 6 wins. I mean, I don't know how Russell Wilson's going to fit with Sean Payton. I just don't see it working out at all. So that's going to be an issue. And it's going to be a toss-up between the Chargers and the Chiefs.
I thought you said the Chiefs aren't making the playoffs.
I didn't say that.
Did you say that?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
When did I say that?
That would be spicy.
No, I did not.
I've got something spicy for you about
Oh,
this
the
division.
Beef already picked a winless team. It can't be any more than that.
I've got something spicy.
So you got a winless team too? You're the Raiders are going 0-17? All right.
I'm just telling you.
So this is going to be a close win. I mean, the Chiefs will probably win the division, but it's going to be tough because I think the Chargers have a very good team. But can they stay healthy? That's the question.
All right. My obviously my bottom team is the Raiders. They stink. I think they don't win one game this year. I really think I cannot see this team winning one game this year. I don't know. Their schedule is not easy. They have to play the Chiefs twice. They have to play the Chargers twice. They have to play the Broncos and Sean Payton twice. And go look at Sean Payton's record. Go look at his record against Josh McDaniels. Go look at his record against the Go look at his record against the Raiders whenever he played the Raiders when he was the head coach of that team. He's kicked the living you know what out of them. Mm-hmm. I don't trust them, so they're not winning. Their defense stinks too, by the way. I feel bad for Josh Jacobs. I feel really, really bad for Devontae Adams and Renfro. I don't know what happened to that guy. I mean, he curled up in a ball and he's hiding in Mr. McDaniel's anus or something.
Yeah, he still doesn't want to use him.
I have no idea what's going on with him. This guy was one of the best slot receivers in the league, and now all of a sudden he doesn't want to use him. Idiot.
Maybe he can go back to college for a 7th season because Dabo could sure use him.
You're probably right there. My number 2 worst team in that division, I would say, and I'm only going to say this to be true. I think the Chiefs are the 3rd worst team in this division. I don't trust the Chiefs.
You don't
this year.
trust that defense?
No, I don't know what Travis Kelce's injury is going to entail. I know everybody keeps saying it's nothing, but it's an extended knee, and that's not good for a guy that is long and has a lot of weight, and he's 33 years old.
So is it more the offense you don't trust or the defense?
Dude, let me speak for a second. They have no weapons. Okay. Stanley is their number 1 target, and this guy is hot and cold every time he plays on the field. And then you think that they were going to go after Odell Beckham or somebody like that. They didn't do anything like that. They drafted like crap this year. Why didn't they go after a wide receiver? They didn't do that. I don't understand them. Now, everybody keeps talking about Pacheco. I don't know what Pacheco is going to be this year when he's the number 1 guy. It's not Allaire anymore. It's him. And he's got to play the whole season. And everybody knows he's not a big guy. Pacheco is a small guy. So he's going to take a big beating. I think the Chiefs are going to win, between 9 and 10 games this year. I don't think they're as good. And I don't think Patrick Mahomes stays healthy this year. I think he gets hurt. That offensive line is not going to protect him. Losing losing their left tackle is a huge loss. And Brown going over to the Bengals only benefits them, but we'll see as we know what their offensive line did in the first half of the season. So I've got the Chiefs in third place with 9 to 10 wins. My number 2 team is the Broncos. I think the Broncos are a lot better than people think they are. I really do. I think they can run the ball with Williams. I think their defense was one of the best in the league last year. I think they're going to be even better this year as they rated them higher. I think they can make the throws. I think their weapons, Mims is a good player. I think Judy with this offense, the way Peyton's going to use him, I think he's going to be even better than everybody thinks he's going to be. I think they're going to be able to put up points, and I think they're going to be able to play defense. I think the Broncos win 10 games this year, and they beat out the Chiefs for that second spot in the AFC West. And my number 1 team, the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert. I think J.C. Jackson coming back. I think Slater coming back. This is one of the better, more underrated offensive lines in football. They're going to be able to protect them. They're going to be able to run the ball with Eckler. They have Mike Williams. They have Kellen back. They have all these weapons all over the field. The question is their coach actually going to call the right plays? Because the guy's a moron. But this defense is good. They're going to be able to put up the points. They're going to be able to stop a lot of teams. And their schedule fares for them at the end of the season. Give me the Chargers, 12 wins, as they win the AFC East and might be the number 1 seed in the AFC this year.
Errol, if the Chiefs finish third in the division.
Yes, let's hear it. Let's go.
If they finish third in the division.
Okay, what are you doing for me?
Or worse.
You're going to buy me a house?
I will give you 2 sets of Chiefs tickets. You can come to the game, you can sell them, and if you look, they're averaging the highest resale value of any ticket in the league.
Okay.
We can talk offline about.
All right, we'll do that.
About what I want in exchange
Okay,
when they win the division or they finish second.
Let's do it.
But there is no way. I mean, shy of Patrick Mahomes, not even taking the field, that happens. I'm a little defensive.
I love it.
And part of me thinks that you did that just to be the contrarian and shock the world here, so that you told us so when we get to December. But, 2 Chief tickets are coming your way. I hope you're that right, because then I will have a claim to fame for knowing somebody that has a crystal ball in his crotch.
Wes, I hope that game that Errol's getting tickets for is a Chiefs-Jets playoff game, and the Chiefs can win.
I think he said on the bowl when he made that prediction.
Well, listen, I'm looking at that squad. That squad is not that good offensively, and their offensive line, there's a lot of questions to that offensive line. Patrick Mahomes is going to be running for dear life at some points.
But if you go back to Andy Reid, just go back to Andy Reid's Philadelphia days, and don't look anything up. Can you name the stars that were on offense with a Donovan McNabb-led team that was a top 5 offense in the league for several years?
Terrell Owens?
Okay, Terrell Owens prior to Terrell Owens. Because they were going to conference championships before T.O.
Yeah, but that's different. That was a different time. I think the game is different.
The game was changed.
Yeah, I think it's different.
Different time.
I agree with you. I know Andy Reid is
that manufactures talent, and I think you're going to see an upgrade on offense with.
All right, let's quickly go. Let's look at their schedule, okay? Because I think the Lions are going to give them problems. I think the Jaguars are going to give them problems. I think the Bears. They like you said, they have problems stopping Justin Fields. They're going to get problems with him. The Jets are going to give him problems. It being in New York, Aaron Rodgers, they're going to try to make a statement. Then you got to play the Vikings. That's not going to be easy. You got to go to Minnesota and play the Vikings. Then you got to play the Broncos, okay? And I think the Broncos, Sean Payton's going to give them a challenge. Then you have the Chargers. Then you have the Broncos again. Then you have the Dolphins. Come on, dude. This is not an easy. Oh, by the way, they have the Eagles. The only team it gets easy. Here, hold on. It gets easy.
I can't
They play the Raiders. They play the Packers. That's it. Then they play the Bills.
2 tickets. 2 sets of
All
tickets.
right, let's do it.
And I'm 17 rows off the field. So you're gonna enjoy this.
I'm loving it. I'll tell you what. After I win this bet, you come with me, okay? Because then I want you to wear a jersey says Patrick Mahomes sucks, okay? I'll buy you the jersey. I'll get it made for you. It says
nobody will ever take me seriously again if I wear a jersey like that. Who would say Patrick Mahomes sucks?
Hey, if you think this, if you want to make a bet, let's make a bet.
Make them wearing the other team's jersey.
Yeah, you have to wear a Pat Sucks jersey with the Chiefs, and you got to come with me.
I will gladly take a new Chiefs jersey from you. Though,
I'm going to buy it for you. Pat Sucks.
When they win the division or they finish better than third, and I will have it be a George Karlaftis jersey because he's going to make a name for himself on D.
I'll buy it for you.
Done. Versus my 2 sets of Chiefs tickets.
I've got it. That's a bet. All right. So everybody heard it.
Oh, boy.
I've got the Chiefs in third place. They're not even making the playoffs, buddy. So I predict. I think that like you said, Derek. I think the North is strong. I think the AFC East is strong. I think three teams out of either the AFC East or the AFC North are going to come out.
Wow.
So one of those divisions, 3 teams are going to come out of it. So I think it's a lot. It's going to be a fun year. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are fantastic. Derek, you are fantastic as always. You know what I feel about you. And Wes, you're the king. You're the handicapper.
And Derek is the Jets jinx.
But please do not pick the Jets to win.
Errol don't win a lot of bets on this show.
I do.
No, you don't.
Yes,
Not against me, you don't.
What did we make? One bet? We made one bet, actually. And by the way, the bet happened. I picked Jimmy G.
Here we go. This is great.
I was winning. The Bears were winning the whole game. Okay, the whole game. Jimmy G was traded. He goes to San Francisco, and then he had Jimmy G winning the game. And then I was winning the whole game. And it was like they had like a 15-point lead with like 6 minutes left. And then all of a sudden, San Francisco comes back, and with the last 3 seconds of the game, San Francisco kicked a 55-yard field goal.
I think it was the other way around. I think I had the Bears. You had the Niners.
No, I had the Bears.
You had the Niners.
You had the Niners.
I had the Bears.
You had the Niners.
You had the Niners.
I remember it.
Yes,
I remember
I had
it,
the Bears.
Okay.
And I was pissed off, and then I had to wear a
Tom Brady
jersey on for the show. I was so disgusted. It made me sick, and he took pictures of it, and he keeps it to this day. He shows it to me. So it was one game, okay? And I've beaten Jeff many, many times. He should be eating dog crap. Okay?
Yes,
All right?
that is also true.
He should be eating dog crap, and I never forced him to do that. He made it back. Anyways, Wes, we love you. Derek, we love you. We love you guys. Come back next week, as always. Wow. Let's parlay. I love those guys, man. It was a great show.
Let's parlay and our fellow Chief debate.
Well, I'm just telling you. I'm telling you, the Chiefs aren't. Don't be surprised if the Lions beat the Chiefs tomorrow. Don't be surprised.
I was almost going to pick the Lions tomorrow.
Don't be surprised if
I think
Lions
they'll cover. I definitely think they'll cover.
I say here's my prediction.
4 points.
Here's my prediction. The Lions beat the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs tomorrow and set the Chiefs on this path of chasing all season long. I don't think the Chiefs are as good as everybody thinks they are. I don't. I really don't. So that's my prediction.
We shall see.
We will. Thank you to all the fans. Thank you. Thank you to the Beef for coming on. We haven't had you on the show in a while.
It's been a while. It's been a crazy summer.
Yeah, it's been
a lot of family stuff.
Jamie Lee, if you're listening, keep hanging out with Butch. Okay, we love Butch.
Leave that kid alone.
We love Butch, man. I mean,
Butch
and him.
Maybe we should introduce Jamie Lee to Speedy's mom.
Oh, that'd be good.
Oh, good.
Speedy, if
your
mom's looking for a man,
not happening.
We'll be hook up.
Why? What's wrong with Jamie Lee?
I didn't say anything.
He likes cucumbers.
Oh my god.
I'm just letting you know.
Errol's obsessed with who the specific person is. That never has made a difference.
I think his mother likes cucumbers.
Oh, his mom does.
Just not attached to human bodies or animal bodies. But okay.
I'm not talking about that cucumber.
Yeah, we know.
If we're comparing cucumbers, I'm just saying.
I can't.
Anyways, thank you to the fans as always. No Jeff tonight. This is wonderful.
Yes, very
no
nice.
scent of Jeff. I mean, the smell is it's not stenching. I banned him. I don't know if I can take him off the unban. I don't know.
You should leave him banned.
Oh.
The people ban him if you don't.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't want him banned. I want him to be, entwined in the conversation. But he's just an ass.
He's a bully.
He's not a bully. He's an ass.
He's a bully.
He's a troll. That's what he is. He kind of looks like a troll, by the way. He does. I mean, he's a little heavier than one. But anyways, thank you to all the fans out there. We love you. We will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m., our new time, as always. And by the way, guys, don't be cashing. Because if you're not cashing, you're going to be cashing and watching me enjoy myself in Kansas City at a home game on the sidelines as my friend, yes, my friend Wes will be here wearing I Hate Pat jersey on the back of him. Yes, I'm going to buy him a jersey no matter what, but it's not going to be something that he wants to hear. Anyways, good night, everybody.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This is Mario Andretti. You know